Let's try this out. All right. See what we got here. Hello, hello. All right. All right. Greetings. Let's check 1 2 1 1 1. Check check. Okay. Oh, I can check my volume here because we're on YouTube. We are on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. We are. We were wishing Vernon Reed a happy birthday. Uh, see what we got here. See what we got. I saw Raymond and Hod before. What's up, my friends? I see Sharon. How you doing? Um, oh, I'm crawling back into the streaming world because it's we've had such incredible floods all up and down the southeast, and I see some water has hit our friends in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. You're lucky. It got downgraded from it got downgraded from a hurricane or a hurricane, as the Brits would say. It got downgraded, and I think it was 60 miles an hour, right? That hit Long Island, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. You're very lucky. Um, you know, and some people kind of go, I told you so. They always make a big deal, these weather people. Be careful. Be careful. I think they fortunately um, they make sure they scare your asses because you want people to take it seriously and at the very very least get some flashlights, get some charge all their devices up, get some. If you have a generator, was there gas? We haven't used it in 3 years. Um, all those kinds of things. Of course, water, food, a first aid kit. I think it's great if any of those news items, what I'm looking for the word, alarms you enough, but maybe just informs you and inspires you enough to get some shit ready because the shit is real, folks. When this weather thing is serious, and I'm starting out with that because it has everything to do with going lower on the food chain. As you know, I really appreciate some of you who've been checking this show out for as long as I've been doing it, which is just over a year. I'm happy to. I kind of blew it on the coffee still hot. That's good. I kind of blew it on the actual 1 year anniversary, which was recently because just a week ago was 1 year uh, of some guests I had. The wonderful Slicks, my friends Eric and Julie Slick were on a year ago, and I remember that was a good month into doing this. And so anyway, happy to be doing this for over a year, and thank you, folks who are often here. Like those of you here right now, David Maida and Sharon and Hod and uh, Raymond Helfrich. Who else is here? Um, oh, I have my first song cue. And you took me away, and you sent me away. Did she send him away, or did she take him away? And you sent me away, oh man. And you came and you said, I don't know the words. Oh Mandy, Well, you came and you gave without taking, but I sent you away. Where he sent her away. Well, we found out later why. I didn't know. I didn't know Barry Manilow was gay at all. I just, just didn't know. I don't see color. I just, he was awesome though. I loved Barry Manilow, and and I still do. And that's how weird I am. I was learning about John Hassel and kind of, let's see. Well, that point in the '70s, I was listening to rock and roll and funk and kind of, Parliament and Kiss and ACDC and all the disco stuff my parents had on. But I loved Copacabana and Weekend in New England and when will I see you again? When will this strong yearning end? And when will I see you again? The strings. That is brilliant shit, folks. I mean, I'm not even being ironic because it's so hip to be hipster ironic. I'm serious. That dude is a badass, man. Those orchestrations. And even at a young age, I understood that Copacabana was pretty heavy because it was whatever that year that was, somewhere between 78 and 80. Uh, I got it that he was sneaking in this whole kind of, you know, admittedly watered down, but this Cuban, this Afro-Cuban thing, not only the music and some stuff that was happening, the arrangement, but the lyrics, the whole, her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. And I got like the corniness of it that he was doing like a satirical thing. Hey, talking about you, cat. I mean, I got that he was like having fun with that. And at the Copa. So anyway, Barry Manilow, much love to him, and I'm glad he came up because yeah, we've all been there, man. Fortunately for me, only a couple times in my life, but as a performer, my heart goes out because when you have prepared and rehearsed and gotten all set and rested yourself and gotten into that zone, especially to play at the great Central Park, even performers at that level, it's a big deal. And so when you're there, and I think they were 3 songs in, right, 2.5 songs in, and you're doing your thing, and suddenly some shit breaks on the PA, uh, uh, you know, attention, attention, please move to a safe area. This concert is over. Dangerous weather is approaching. Attention, attention. All attendees must vacate the concert area. Attention, the concert is over. I mean, when you hear that shit, and stage manager's going, "Let's go," wow, that's a drag, and then it's all on the screen, um, on the on the screen. Well, you saw the videos in Central Park. Uh, Suddenly, that's up on the screen. Um, but I think it was stupid to do the concert. Sorry, I think what the fuck, man? Come on, De Blasio. You need points that bad? Medical experts were saying, dude, don't do this. You got scores of bands and tours and festivals canceling wisely when they're that size. I get it. You can have a 500 or 1,000 or a couple thousand person show, and there is a way to do it safely, and I applaud that. I'm a musician. I'm someone who depends on the music biz on 4 or 5 levels. I book acts. I'm not a producer that often where it's my money on the line. That's what that would mean. Like the person who is the actual, you know, investor, the producer of the show. I do it once in a blue moon, but not often. But I do almost everything else. I'm a booking agent sometimes. Often a tour manager, road manager. I'm often a stage manager or just in the stage crew. I'll do whatever. I'm a bass tech, a keyboard tech, a guitar tech. I'm not I have many weak links. I have many flaws, folks. Every day I get up and I list them and I try to get rid of some of them. But I don't start my day with that, but I do, keep very conscious. Hey, man, there's shit to fix, and one of them, or skills to learn, and one of them is I want to learn German, French, Russian. No, that's not gonna happen. But I want to learn more about sound technology. Of course, I'm sitting in a studio. I've recorded a number of CDs on my own. I understand a great deal about recording technology, hardware and software. I started on reel-to-reel tape decks, and I know the basics of miking things up and condenser mics and dynamic mics and uh, just very basic stuff. I'm saying this is I'm talking ABCs, right? Compression. I know my basics on gain staging and various types of distortion, analog, digital, when you're recording. And I know how to take it all the way to the end and make a CD. And I know a little bit about live sound, but I'm a child in that realm, out in the pro world, and I do want to learn more there. I can operate a monitor desk, analog, please. I've run monitors. I understand how that works and the signal path on the side of the stage and how to get 6 different mixes going. And if the bass player says I need some high end on the snare, I can do all that. But I'm weak in that area in terms of being a tour support guy. Um, but I'm learning. I want to learn that. But anyway, my point is, I do stuff on so many levels in the music biz. Again, performer, all the other things I listed: tour manager, stage manager, production manager, um, booking agent. Uh, so I depend on this. I'm fucking rocked by this year, folks. I can't even. I lost 5 tours last year. 5 tours. See if I can remember what they are. 2 from Yes, Ricky Lee Jones, Brand X, and then the biggest one would have been the biggest tour of my life to date. I was gonna go out and work for Poison, guitar teching for CC, on a tour that was in stadiums for the first time in my life. I've done big theaters. I've done the Royal Albert Hall. I've done 50 or 60,000 people uh, with ELP. I've done, I've done some big shows. Not the Garden yet. Ooh, waiting. That's what These are the things. These are the scout badges when you do this kind of thing, just for fun. Uh, I've done a lot of places, but stadiums. Wow, that's a whole thing. And that went away because of COVID. I lost a lot of money. I hadn't spent it yet, but that's when you really fuck up, right? When you think some shit's coming up and you go, "Oh my god, I'm guaranteed to make, you know, 5 figures here over this period of time. Let me start spending it. What was that credit card offer I just got? Let's do that and let's buy that and fix the roof and spend all this money because it's coming in 6 months. I'm not that guy. I don't do that, which is good because last year would have fucked me hard because it was the biggest tour in my life. So I lost all that. But you say la vie. What? I curled up in a ball, depressed. I drank too much over it. I don't do any harder drugs, fortunately, because that would have been the year I went down. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of suicide, a lot of drug addicts, a lot of shit came out of this, folks. Uh, so that was last year, 5 tours that I can remember, and then my own tours. Actually, I don't even count that because I was just putting it together. But I had a solo tour and I had a duo tour with my good friend Paul Bielatovich. He and I are still planning a duo tour. So those are the ones that got away. But I still give thanks because with COVID, so many people are now living in their cars or have died. Or have died. And COVID don't care. COVID don't give a fuck if you believe in it or not. Isn't that great? We argue about deities and we argue about the concept of a deity and the reality of a god and all that. The endless human debate. And here's COVID that people debate about. Well, I don't believe it's real. That's the realest motherfucking shit you've seen. I love these people that are on their deathbed still arguing with the nurse, choking. It ain't. There's no COVID. You. I know that's tasteless, right? Go ahead, hit me in the comments. That's tasteless. It's fucking tasteless to be promoting lies and conspiracies and bullshit from your high school buddy who failed out, sent you some video from Facebook. That's tasteless. That's heartless, actually. I'm just imitating someone who, in objective reality, is choking on their own pink slime while arguing with a nurse that it ain't real. I mean, this is happening. A great more amount of people, many more are regretful. They're regretful. And my heart goes out to all of them, but in varying degrees. But my heart really goes out to the people who they just got lied to. I saw a lady in the video yesterday. I felt so bad for this poor woman. She just got misled. She might have had a trusted relative or a friend who just was telling her it's fake she was kind of unsophisticated and maybe didn't have a way to look things up and she believed her friends, and they had a video of this woman and she had the mask on, she's dying, and she was saying I regret this, I wish I had you know so it's a sad time, folks, this shit, and to watch the anti-science brigade. Now, with that said, I want to pivot now to, yes, we're going to talk about some food, but you know me, folks, it's all one thing. This is here in large part because of what we do. Because of what we do. Like it or not, whether it came from a wet market, whether it came from the lab, whether it came from the wet market to the lab, and then whether they were in the lab working on it and a rat came in the back of the lab and ate some feces of a bat, and then that went, and then it came to the, because that's what happens in epidemiology, right? When you read about epidemiology on just a layperson's level, and which I love, I've always been a reader of National Geographic, Science Magazine, Discover, Popular Mechanics, all that nerdy shit. That's what I was subscribing to when I was 16, 17. Shoot me. I had a sweater vest and a short afro, and I was getting straight A's. What a fucking loser. I mean, I missed out on a lot of shit. But that's what I was reading. Astronomy magazine and the Planetary Society. I was a charter member. Anyway, I'm not saying that makes me better or worse than anyone. I'm just saying that's me. That's my personal journey. Wouldn't judge anyone that's different. I judge illogical bullshit, and I judge anything that doesn't attempt to utilize critical thought, right? I criticize that, and I'll criticize not listening to others and not listening to the other side, which I do in spades. I know there's some people here who think that, no, I do. I watch every one of those conspiracy videos someone sends me. Everyone. I watched one last night. Oh man, that hurt my head because it was like 10, 12 minutes of bullshit. Maybe I'll put a link up. But I watch it. I want to see what the other side is being told, number one. And I want to see, and I have a belief system that you're going to find something you agree with. And sure enough, in 12 minutes of video, there's good points made. And that's one of my concerns for the pro-vax people, which is most of you. Those of you who've had your vaccine, and I don't mean you're a cheerleader and you're up on your rooftops, vaccines, yay, pharma, yay, pharma. No, I'll never be that guy. I fucking hate big pharma. I hate what Ciba Geigy and J&J and Hoffman LaRoche and all these experimental companies. Well, they're not experimental companies. They're companies and they do some experimental stuff. But I hate what they get away with. Come on, folks. I hate our low regulatory system for vaccine compounding. I read about accidents all the time, mistakes, and they hardly get punishment. So I respect that there's questioning and that there's skepticism. I do. And you'll notice I don't call these folks idiots and fools and clowns. I don't. I might be critical of them. on the fact or the lack of facts, but I never call these people names, and I dare you to find a time when I do that. Oh, categorically, I will call individual ones fools, or people like Phil Valentine, or radio hosts, or Alex Jones and stuff. Individual people, somebody in a video, but I don't categorically call all these people stupid, and I think that's one of the mistakes of the left in general, does that kind of thing. And the in this vaccine fight, which is this is a big day for it, the we can't call them all idiots and fools. Some of them are, right? Some of them are, but some of them are people with PhDs. Some of them are people without a PhD. They're just intelligent human beings that have legitimate questions. The issue then becomes, though, when we answer their questions, they don't really want answers to questions. Those are the ones that piss me off. It's okay to ask, "Hey, wow, this isn't a normal vaccine like the other ones I've read about. This does not have viral material in it." Most of them. I'm sorry, the real popular ones numerically. Can be very careful here because we got to stick with the facts. The Pfizer and the Moderna, which are the top two ones, especially in the United States. Well, in the United States, you go around the world. There's Sinopharm, and there's the Chinese ones. There's two or three, and there's I forget another one that's in Europe. Of course, there's J&J, which I had, and they vary. But let's say the two main ones, they do involve this messenger RNA technology, and so when these folks say it ain't a real vaccine, blah 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 blah, they're kind of half correct, and we need to just respect them and not just scream at them. They're correct. It's different. Those are different than what we've done for, let's see, how many years is it? 200, it's about 225 years. Did you know that, folks? Did you know vaccines go back 225 years? See, this is the shit that pisses me off, because when I'm debating these anti-vax people, I have a list in my head of 5 or 6 basic questions. That's one of the first ones. They're coming at me and they're suddenly vaccine experts. And I'm not a vaccine expert. I will never say that. I will never present myself as that. I'm the things I know I am are uh, a pretty smart person. I'm not a genius. I'm not, maybe not even above average. I'm probably where the average should be. I'm just a regular, I can read and write, and I know a lot of arithmetic. That's probably my strong suit, mathematics. Some of you have heard this, so excuse me if it's boring, but I have new people here all the time, and I have questions all the time. Well, how do you know this? I have a computer science degree. I have an associate's in computer science, within which I took a lot of math, because you do. So I just like math, and I like statistics, and I like combinatorics, and I like to look at the odds of things. And we went really deep into that when you're in, college level courses dealing with statistics and statistical density of data and math, and mathematical concepts. Sorry, and how real world stuff moves around under the what's the word, in the fractal reality of statistics. Is that kind of, that's where it gets heavy, folks, because you start applying statistical density to things like planetary motion, or meteors landing on a celestial body, or um, there's definitive math, the orbits and the masses of planets and the distances and things like that. But there's randomness, which is what's beautiful about our reality. But within that randomness, we can study that, and we can get like some density on how likely things are going to be. We can assign percentages of likelihood. All that stuff fascinates me. So it's been a great year of seeing all of that math writ large in this time, and especially a country where we are ill-equipped. You can't even go to you know, a checkout counter, have a bill that might be, I don't know, you've been there, you know, it's $2.57 or something, and or $2.47. Let's keep it really easy, and you give, you're gonna get 53 cents back, but you give the person 7 pennies or something, right? And just to say, you don't have to say it really, right? You give them the dollars and they give them 7 pennies, and we've all been there. Their heads explode. No, it's only 5.47, or whatever I said. Yeah, 5.47, and they go, and you go, yeah, I know. It's just, uh, I gave you 6 singles and 7 pennies, and uh, what forget giving them like 13 cents, or you know some whatever it might be to add up to your even change, right? So this is where we are. So forget about debates that involve 0.02%, or knowing that, you know 0.02 as a decimal is 2%, or what the difference between that and 0.02% is, or that 1/5 is 20%. I was talking to someone not too long ago, and I switched from 20% to 1/5, and it blew their mind, and they got kind of angry about it, and I was like, well, you're getting angry, but you're the one who doesn't know that 1/5 is 20%. That's not my problem. You are the problem, and you should stay out of these discussions. And people say this is condescending. I love that. And maybe I need a softer voice or something. I don't know. But I'm condescending because I point out to somebody that they don't understand that 0.33 is 1/3 is 33%. They get mad at me. And I'm going, so you didn't understand the article because it had all that stuff in it. And I know you just skipped by to get the punchline, or whatever. And again, folks, what you might be saying, what is he talking about? It's all, this is all what we're going through. This discussion of science and math. And I'm starting with this road today because today is a big day. Today's a day that I'm calling it humorously, um, move the uh, move the goalpost day, because it's a big day with these vaccines, which suck, by the way. I hate them. I did it because we're in a burning airplane. Luis Betancourt, what's up, my friend? How are you? I love when Luis stops in. Luis is in the middle of the ocean right now. He's okay, folks. He's safe and sound on the beautiful island of Terceira, west west of the mainland of Portugal. My dear friend Luis, good to see you, my bro. I need to be on an island right now, man. It's been a long fucking time. Uh, I should come visit, man. Terceira, folks, beautiful place. All right, let me get to some of your comments, and let me also see if someone is on YouTube, because I often forget my YouTube peeps. And I had some people on Twitch the other day. That was nice. Um, who's watching? We have one person watching on YouTube. So hello, whoever you are. I can't see the name, but thanks for watching. I have a couple people that watch at work on YouTube because their work doesn't let them uh, stream Facebook. All right, so yeah, that's right, folks. Having some, oh, my cable's getting caught. Having some Moog coffee. This mug, by the way, from the Bob Moog Foundation, you can order them online. It's badass. This mug is so badass that. Well, you can see my other hand. So, but I didn't do that well. But anyway, let's go to some of your comments and let's talk about food because um oh that's on C, right? Let's see. Ah, okay. I don't know how close to the edge goes. I've never played that in my life, so that's why it was wrong. But yeah, you're right. That's the very synth that the great Rick Wakeman used on Close to the Edge. All right, let's go to your questions and your points. Let's see. Rain in Minneapolis. Yeah, that's amazing. You're right next to a lake. How do you guys not have water happening? Yeah, that's also, and Pete Brunelli's here. How are you, my bro? Pete Brunelli's here, and I know there's a couple other scientists, but Keith, Keith, sorry, there's a person named Keith here too. Pete is one of my favorite scientists, and I love chatting with the man on any number of topics, whether it's Ornette Coleman or modern microbiology. But Pete, we've never talked about this, but ever since I was a small child, I remember in some science book, again, I must have been 6, 7, 8 years old. And, I'm going to recreate this. I always remember this as a child. I saw this diagram. My big question, it's about water. It's about water and my frustration that we haven't solved water issues. Let's see. Does this work? Just need a index card. Okay. There we go. Water, and we have too much water here, which has fucked me up this week, and I had to cancel a couple streams because the water came in my basement. So we have too much water. 15 minutes from here, several people have died and drowned. Dozens of people missing here and in Tennessee. So we have too much water. Well, there's never too much water, but we have water interfering with human enterprise and life. And then you have right across the other side of the country, not enough water, right? Droughts and all this stuff, which is intimately connected to the animal agriculture industry, folks. It's part of why I'm here on a Monday. Talk about the environmental impact and the use of water that it takes, the amount of water that it takes to grow the grain, to have water for the actual animals, to process the slaughtering and the slaughterhouses, the amount of water, it's mind blowing. And then in the case of pigs, they then take the pig waste and make these giant water based pools out of them, hog lagoons. I bring this up almost every fucking week. I'm like a broken record because it's such a big problem. It's such a big problem. Look up hog lagoons if you've never heard of this. Look up hog lagoons, hogs as in pigs. Big problem right here in my state, North Carolina. Massive, several football fields worth of pools, lagoons, filled with deep, toxic hog shit, which has got, of course, all the pesticides and steroids and antibiotics and things that the poor animals have ingested. Once in a while, these lagoons overflow when there's floods and things, and they get into lakes, rivers, streams, and it's a nightmare. They wipe out entire you know, rivers and streams of any life, of any, they turn them into algae blooms, killing fish, killing all kinds of stuff, killing plant life, just so you can have bacon that's dirt cheap. Wow. I'm an American. That's my right. All right. So the thing I saw, Pimpernelli, it was, I was a child, and it looked rather like this. And so it was like, um, so it was kind of like this. I was a child when I saw this, and I have a delay, so I don't know if I'm holding that close enough. Yeah, there we go. So I was a child and I saw this design for this device, and so it was like massive. Picture this being massive, like I don't know, 5 city blocks or something. And so it had a container in the middle with salt water, and some sort of heat, or I think it was sunlight. The dome over the top here, the dome was glass. Everything's kind of uh, transparent, so sunlight can come in. The sunlight would heat up the salt water and evaporate water to the top, to the dome, and then the fresh water would drip down the sides and be in the bottom in this pool called fresh water, which would of course be um, not exposed to the light, so it's not going to evaporate, and it would, the fresh water, you're shunting it away and then filtering it or whatever. But I remember as a child going, "Wow, that makes sense." However, whatever age I was a little science nerd, and I already obviously understood, maybe without even the names of them. I understood the states of water, and I understood water I understood that ice was water, that water was of course water, and I understood steam was water, and boiling water was hot, and it turned it into another state of water. I knew all that without knowing those names. So I just, it's funny. We all have things that just stick in our minds that we discovered at 3 or 5 or 7 or 9. I'm fascinated by that, as I'm fascinated by how the human brain works. But this was one for me, folks. So I saw this. This would have been 72, 3, 4, 5. And why don't we have this? What's wrong? Why didn't it work? What went wrong? The Saudis and the Egyptians and a bunch of other folks in North Africa have a lot of water desalination that they do. And so that's my question to Pete Brunelli and to anyone else that wants to weigh in. Where are we fucking up on this? Why doesn't Elon Musk spend some goddamn money on figuring that out? I read about it every few years, and I know some of the answers, but please help me. I know that it's very expensive. So what? So is everything else we do. We just spent whatever, you hear different numbers, 90 billion, several trillion, on a useless non-training of the Afghan army. We have all this money for bombs and shit and bullshit. Here is the water supply of California. California, folks, hello, newsflash, is right next to an endless water supply. It's an ocean of water, literally. I just think, figure it out. Maybe the way they were trying to do it that's so expensive is maybe there's another way where you have to add potassium iodide halfway through the. I'm making this up. Where you have to add some crystals of lava rock because it has some chemical effect, and then you and then it evaporates better. I don't know. Figure it out. You got an ocean of water right next to you. How many jobs would that create? They're doing it in the Middle East. They're desalinating water and laughing at us. So that's my question, because it's a dire, dire situation right now in California for water. So, all right, let's go through some comments, but someone please answer me on that. It makes me crazy. And I know it creates this brackish, weird leftover stuff from the salt. I know that, and then that's difficult to store. I know that you're so far the volume of fresh water you get exceeds all kinds of things. Takes a lot of energy and all that. I know. Tell me some more shit though, and then also tell me Who cares? We're spending money on all this other garbage. So, all right. New York concert, but Manilow, right? We talked about that. Thank you for the Mandy rabbit hole. Uh, Happy live anniversary. Yes, close. It's close. Um, sent him away, right? Well, actually, it wasn't, right? It wasn't him at that point in the lyrics, but it would have been. I sent you away, but it could have been a guy named Mandy. It could have been Mandy Patinkin. Could have been, you know, an unrequited love for Mandy Patinkin. So, Steve Hershey, how are you, my friend? Hope you're still here. How's it going? Cutout Record Club. Oh wow, that's awesome. Uh, Benny Rodriguez, Diana Ross. Yes, of course. Listen to a ton of her music back in the day. I love her, and I love even more um, her daughter, right? Tracy, what's her middle name? Tracy Allen Ross, right? Man, uh, she is really silly. Tracy Ellis Ross. Um, she's funny, and she does these hilarious Instagrams and stuff. She's really cool. Once taken out there, show Walker Center had to secure everything. Yeah, rain. Yeah, rain at a show is never good. Uh, Benny says should have started the concert earlier. I guess, or not at all. We have the world's worst numbers right now. I just don't get it. Which means we should be overdoing the safety. We should be sick of how much uh, we are not putting humans next to each other. But I guess I'm crazy. I guess I'm crazy. I guess the worst numbers in the world, which we fucking have for 16 fucking running months, the worst in the fucking planet. The fucking worst. Oh my God. Does anyone see this? We only have 4% of the world's population, and we've consistently had 15 to 20% of the deaths, cases, and infections. What the fuck? And no one runs around amped up like this about it. I just don't get it. It's 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 the ultimate example of American chutzpah and self delusion. The worst number. I mean, we have two. I forgot how many countries are on Earth right now. It moves around a little bit. Someone can tell me, but on the order of about 215 independent or individual nation states on our planet, on our beautiful planet. Well, over 200. When you're number one at something, I don't know. Doesn't that mean anything? So we're number one. The worst numbers. Well over 600,000 dead. We're crushing it. And we walk around like, yep, the pandemic's over. I'm, it's just amazing. So having said that, no, don't have big concerts. It's kind of like go to your room without any dessert kind of thing, where that's overkill when a parent does that, but it's overkill because of the situation that they're in, right? Um, yeah. I mean, the only hope we can have is that in the New York City, you're talking pretty close to the numbers you want, but still not enough, right? New York's what, 65, 75 top percent, vaccinated. I don't know. But anyway, funny stuff, folks. And I do keep laughing. All right. So, uh, Royal Albert Hall. Yes, that was great to you worked at Royal Albert Hall. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. That's crown of the jewel. I have some video. One of my funny stories at Royal Albert Hall is worked there with Yes, I think twice. That's how crazy shit is. I can't remember how many times I've worked Royal Albert Hall. I think it was twice. Regardless, um, once or twice. Anyway, we were there, and the opening act, they're doing their sound check, and this is a pet peeve I have with sound checks, when the fucking sound man or woman does not have a talkback mic. Oh, my blood boils. remembering now all the times that they can't hear you, or I mean, that you can't hear them. They just asked the bass player to check, and the bass player's going, and then frantically the sound guy's like, I got it, and they run over, and you're like, well, I couldn't hear you. You don't have a mic. More. Idiotic. I'm a complete fascist on that. You have to have a way to talk to the people on stage. So it's a thing, and anyone who plays a lot of gigs knows how annoying that is. And it's glorious when you get the really great front of house people where you go up and everyone's there and you hear them clearly on all the monitors at once. All right, guys, you can hear me, right? Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna start, and I'm just gonna do this one person at a time. Can we start with the kick drum and the kick drum only? Thanks. And that's a good. So here we are at Royal Albert Hall, and the guy doesn't have a talkback mic. I have this on video, and he's yelling the full length of the fucking Royal Albert Hall to the band. Yeah, let me hear your snare now. The snare. And the guy can't hear. He's like, what? Which one? The snare. All right. What's that, mate? Hi-hat. I can't hear you, mate. The hi-hat. Yes. At Royal Albert Hall. I have it on tape. Y'all think I'm making this shit up? These are the adventures. Anyway, good vegetarian food that day, just to keep it on topic. As always in London, one of the greatest vegetarian capitals on earth. Pete Brunelli says Master Thespian. I like that. That might be the name of an album we should do. Devin Townsend at Royal Albert Hall. Wow. Okay. You don't have a passport. Okay. Time for a passport, especially in these times. Frank Bellina. A Simpsons clip. I bet it's funny. I can't watch it right now, but I'm gonna come back to it. You know what? Let me put it on standby. I'm sure it's very funny. Oh, it's Homer singing Mandy. That's great. All right, I'll check that later. That's funny. I don't even have the sound on. I know it's good. Hello, Frank Bellina. How are you? Zach Nelson, exactly. I'm dumb, and I'm going to make that your problem. I know, right? Okay, good. I'll check that article out. Frank, thank you. The Power of Mathematical Thinking. That's great. That's right up my alley. How do I not have that book already? Well, can't have them all. It is a majestic mug, yes. Nothing like a mini mug, folks. Which I'm doing some classes on, by the way. We're going to put my Patreon link here, and I am doing workshops, and I'm doing guitar once a month at a certain level, and but doing a lot of synthesis once I get my basement working again, which is the next couple of days. But there's my Patreon. Please check it out at least. And if you want to just stop by too, I do some open house performances. If you're like, well, I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about, bro. Drop me a message. I invite you to check out my streams, no charge at all, and just see what it's about. It's a new method of making a living as an artist, as a musician, as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a I'm a futurist. I've done all these things, and I'm trying to. It sounds a little new agey, but I'm trying to embrace and celebrate what I've done and what I can do and what my options are at 56 to pay for the baked beans. It's rough, and at 56, the prospect of not till next year, after another year of drinking too much fucking beer, getting too fucking fat, because being fat is unhealthy. There, I said it, in a world where that's not politically correct. Yeah, it's not healthy to be obese. Yeah, it's not cute. It's not funny. It's bad for your heart. And I'm working on the beer weight that I added. But the um uh uh the prospect of being 57 by the time I go back to work, and being in the back of another 53-foot truck somewhere in Kansas, loading that shit up in the rain, trying to ask this one crew guy to stop fucking smoking till they're on a break. We told you 3 times, and then he's mad. This is what we deal with, especially in Kansas and Utah. Away from your home for 6, 8 weeks. I love it. I'm just saying, will I love it at 57 after all this shit? So I'm looking at new jobs and new careers. Teaching some guitar. Any beginner or intermediate guitarists, drop me a line. Let's clean up some of your triadic knowledge, your basic harmonic knowledge, some basic music theory. Let's have you understanding your scales, your modes, your circle of fifths, your just basic chord construction ideas, learning the fretboard, maybe some specific things. You want to learn something simple like hybrid scale soloing, or soloing over various chord changes, or what's pentatonic anyway, and how do I use it? What's the whole tone? How do I get that sound that Adrian Belew gets or Frank Zappa gets? I have about 4 students right now, and I'm gearing up to advertise for some more. But I'm doing all that Patreon, and gonna do some performing when I can. But trying to have a new career, like many of you. And so anyway, check out my Patreon. And this thing I do every Monday is kind of part of my career. If you wanna kick me $5 for a couple cups of coffee, then hit me up. PayPal, Venmo, it's all there. Um, so uh, he's a witch, says Pete Brunelli. Pete, are you going with, is that Monty Python? You are a jackass, my friend. The Misfits box came today. Oh, cool. Mama. Oh, wait, not that Misfits. Not that Danzig. You mean your produce. Good. That's great. Science. Thank you, Pete Brunelli. Pete Brunelli sending me the lyrical hint, and Sharon follows up. I can smell our chemicals. Do y'all know I was gonna be on tour with Thomas Dolby? Yeah, in October. My heart's broken. Celebrating David Bowie, Adrian Belew, Angela Moore from Fishbone, Sheila E. A group called Grupo Fantasma was the backing band. Wonderful Tejano kind of Tex-Mex Latina kind of a band. Horn section, percussion. Wow, super funky. It was gonna be all of them. I was looking forward to hearing a bunch of horns doing Let's Dance, and then Thomas Dolby as well as all the other great players, like Scroat on guitar, the guy who put it together, and Ron Jubla on sax and keys, and Paul Dempsey, the great Paul Dempsey, big rock and roll star from Australia. Go look up his band, Something for Kate. So I was psyched. October, I was like, all right, this is in January, February, March. We thought, okay, this is going in a good direction. October, yeah, no, this will be safe. Even, yeah, out there with masks, and we'll have our shots. Of course, it collapsed because the shit is too fucked up. Because too many people are drinking a Diet Mountain Dew, eating a hot dog, telling me they're worried about what's in something. You're eating chicken breast, and you're worried about what's in something else? You're really serious. You're at a fast food place eating motherfucking American chicken breast. Are you fucking kidding me right now? I'm lucky that Facebook doesn't shut down profanity, because I tell you, that is some motherfucking whack shit. And then my hippie friends, barefoot in a fish parking lot, taking a joint from some motherfucker who says, yeah, I dosed it up, bro. With what? Hang on, before I take a hit. I thought it was just marijuana. No. And you will put that in your mouth. Then another dude, yo, bro, I got some killer acid, bro. Oh, where's this from? Well, my buddy, he traded me. Yeah, I'll take some of that. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yo, bro, did you get vaccinated? No way, bro. I don't know what's in that. Don't be tripping, bro. That shit's crazy. I don't know what's in that. Yo, bro, I'm hungry. Let's go over to that truck and get a burrito from that dude. That van with his dog. He's living in the van with his dog. And I see he's making some burritos. I'm hungry. I'm going to get one. But I don't know what's in that. I take care of my body, man. Valid questions. Like I said before, I'm going to tool these fools, but it's done with love. It's done with respect. I have respect that they have a question or two. What I don't respect is when you present them with voluminous science, with decades of information of mRNA, because they've been looking at that for decades. I'm a human being of African descent, so I've had to worry in my life about sickle cell. You know what sickle cell anemia is? Then look it up if you don't know. I talk to people who don't know all the time that are coming at me with their sudden knowledge of biology, and it's something that affects disproportionately black people, especially African American people. Just like Tay-Sachs disease affects certain percentage of Jewish people from certain parts of Eastern Europe. You have all kinds of things that affect different groups of people. There's things that some groups of Asian people get that the rest of us don't get. There's diseases around the planet because of all kinds of genetic reasons. So they've been looking at mRNA for decades for cancer, for other human situations, for MS and lupus and other inflammatory kind of autoimmune problems. They've been looking at it for cancer. In fact, while you all are screaming and yelling, if you look on page 4 and you look up mRNA, we're actually in an amazing period where the cancer research people are saying, wow, this is giving us some major shortcuts around a whole list of toxic cancer drugs. And cancer drugs are problematic because they're working sometimes while they're killing you. So it's always this, because they have to be pretty strong to kill uh, cancer cells past a certain point in the cancer process. Uh, I know a lot about cancer, unfortunately, because I lost my dear other half, Sherry Josney. It's going to, in about how many days? 2 days. 2 days from now. 2 days from now, it will be the 11th anniversary. We were together over 20 years. So it's a path I'm on the rest of my life, dealing with that. So I know a lot about cancer and a lot about her journey with cancer for a few years, and various treatments, mainstream and not, that we tried. And she had it all: chemo and different medical things, and of course nutrition, all kinds of things. But I know that genetics trumps everything. Oh, I hate how that word's been wrecked. Genetics, you know, overrides everything. And mRNA is interesting for cancer because yes, it can tell your DNA to make different things, to to manufacture different things, different antigen, different antibodies. You know, I'm an amateur. I'm a layperson, but I know that much is true, that they're using this shit for other things. They may help millions of children in different countries for different ailments that are happening, and blindness. Do you know there's blindness epidemics in some of these countries where kids have no vitamin A in their food, and there's all kinds of shit happening on this planet while you're angry that your Amazon isn't there the next morning. And the fact is, mRNA and all these technologies are something they've been studying and using. So that's where I get mad when some bro with no shoes on in a fish parking lot is lecturing about a fucking vaccine that they know nothing about. when actually this technology has been around and they've been working on it. And I think though one of the big flaws is to not at least engage these folks in a conversation, right? And you know, wait a little while before calling them idiots. All right, I can smell the chemicals. People watering their lawns. Yes, out in California, that's a problem right now. Freshwater reflux. Look at that, Pete Brunelli. That's about the diagram I made, right? You're a genius, bro. Solar fresh water still. Water is starting to not sound like a word. Water. I know, Zach. I'm weird with the water thing. I have such a weird thing with English too because I essentially grew up in Chicago, so I say certain things with a Midwestern kind of a thing. I learned how to speak uh, from the age of 5 months old till 6 or so, 5 or 6, in Chicago. So sometimes people say, I don't know, you can't really analyze your your own speech sometimes. But I started there. Then I went to Guyana, and I was there for 10, 15. No, for till I was um, till I was 10 or 11, and certainly, yeah, I had a Guyanese accent that integrated in, and I can do all the Caribbean accents now. Yes, man, bring one of those roti and curry for me now, with the hot sauce. And I do so many accents. They all, sometimes it's Indian, sometimes it's Jamaican, sometimes it's British. But I kind of learned to speak in that part of the world, in Chicago and a little bit in Guyana, and then many years in Jersey, 30 years. Fucking Tony, man. He's messing with me. I heard a lot of that, and so that influenced me. So I say water, kind of funny. Water. Then you run into people that say water. Give me some water. That's like that's kind of California, right? I hear Dave Lee Roth. Got drunk and fell into the water. That big policeman didn't blink an eye. He said you're messing with the mayor's daughter. Oh no! Remember that song? But it had water in it. Tracy Ellis Ross, the best. Zach says we're the best at bad numbers, unrivaled. Yes, bro. A while ago, before Delta emerged. Okay, that's another show. Yep, canceling. I have a list of canceled shows that I'm going to put up. Why? Thank you. My book is going to be fun. Indeed. Daniel Carter Gibson, what's up, my bro? All sound guys are deaf from way too loud. Steely Dan, right? They sound check the system with Asia if they're good, right? Or here, what's the other album I hear a lot? The one after, a couple after that. Hey 19, that's a common and good place to test your audio. Zach Nelson, true, bro. Impossible for Steely Dan to be too loud. That's great. One of our submarines is missing. Anti-vax druggie is a solid character. Do you like that, Zach? Bro, let's write a multimedia comedy play or something. I'm ready. I need a new career. So, Fringe Festival. Yes, script plot. Yes. Fish parking lots. Steered you to his pay-per-view. Really, Daniel, that's great. I know, right, bro? The other thing about the pay-per-view, I've watched a few of these. Fish has been wonderful about putting the clips from last night up, and I love it. I haven't been able to invest in one of the shows yet. Also, I'm a little ambivalent. I'm like, do I want to encourage you motherfuckers? Stop having these concerts. I mean, I hear that when they came out the first night, I didn't see it, but apparently they were shocked. Like, as they looked out in the audience, you could see them kind of visibly a little worried and looking at each other because they thought naively people would just wear masks because they suggested it. No, guys, it's going to be a shit show. I read that someone has died who was at a Fish show, at least one person. And, I think that's low. Clearly, people there were coughing and sneezing or just singing. Won't you step into the freezer? What's that, bro? I can't hear you. Let me get a bit of that. Step into the freezer. Spit coming out of my mouth. What's up, bro? Look at Trey. Lots of spit coming out. Oh, yeah. Ah, fucking pains, dude! All right, bro! Particles coming out of my mouth! Ah! Wow. It's a dark fucking comedy. I mean, in my brain, I'm seeing like Hieronymus Bosch, like those fucked up. Is that the guy who painted like those scenes of hell, and devils and goats and fucking fire and that's what I guess it's just me though. I guess it's just me because again, we have the worst numbers on earth. Hotels are fucked up. Hospitals at the tipping point in a bunch of places in our country, all around Louisiana, Florida, Texas. These prick governors in Texas and Florida asking for help. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, I got to stay on point here and get back to some delicious food. It's all about food though, because we're here in this nightmare because of food. Tony, it's always Tony. Yeah, it's Mikey and it's Tony. Hey, Joey. And Joey. Hey, Joey, you're working Meadowlands this week? The fucking union screwed me on my overtime from last week. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. They need a Baker show. We were there till 3 a.m. Fucking scumbag signed me out at 2. Said, yeah, you had 10 hours. Well, the fucking truck ain't going to load itself. I know. He can suck my dick. I'm not showing up Sunday for that bullshit job. Fuck him. Tell him, call Larry. See what he fucking says. Done with this fucking shit. Bunch of gavons. Scumbag. Brought to you by New Jersey. Garden of Earthly Delights. All right. Pete keeps throwing me song titles. All right. Let's talk about some food. We got some food here. I had the most delicious lunch today, and I got a couple great new products that I found out about. So let's start with what my dear other half and amazing chef, Robin, prepared. And my dear friends, Brett and Jennifer gifted me with these things called Soy Curls the other day. And I love them. I've had them before. I've had them with, there's a restaurant that used to be around here. And they're just soy. They're non-GMO soy, like a soy flour, soy protein sort of thing. And they're really cool. They're really useful. And you're seeing this exact texture pop up all around the world. I see this stuff now when I was in South America. I see it in England, in Europe, and they're huge in Asia. These soy curls, they're called. I'm going to show them right now. And what's cool about them is in every one of these cultures I just mentioned and more, it's a chance to revisit a very familiar texture, a very familiar type of a texture, a mouthfeel, a chewiness, a sort of ingredient, that's part of so many cultures. It's kind of like a chicken kind of a thing, you could say. And so those soy curls, as you can see, they're kind of these little strips of just soy protein, really, really delicious. So this is done up in a quick little stir fry with fresh peppers and corn and onions and garlic, all this stuff. Some stuff we've grown. We grow herbs and we grow tomatoes and peppers. So it's really a joy kind of combining things you've grown with things that you do buy. Frank Bellina, does that union chatter sound like my weekend? Frank, let me tell you, bro. I'm not gonna. I can't go back to that, but I'll come back to that later. But we go all around the United States, around the world, and one of the things we joke around, we go all around the United States, and most crews, they just chill, they're just hanging, they're just ready to, I have a whole thing in my book too about crews. And do you know the most diverse crews, racially and gender wise? Guess what state? I'm going to put this as a quiz. What state, and I've worked in 48 states, I've only not worked in Hawaii and Alaska so far. but we tend to concentrate in about 30 states that we go to over and over and over. I want you to guess what's the state, and I'm not. This is not an anomaly. I've observed this now every time I've been to this state, and I've observed it in 4 or 5 cities within this state. What do you guess is the state with the most diverse local crew? Okay, that, and if you don't know what that term means, those are the people when we arrive in our truck and our bus, and we get out in the morning to unload and do our show. Those are the wonderful folks that live locally and work at that venue every night. There's a crew chief, and then different types of crew people. Some are expert at lights, some are sound knowledgeable, some are stage folks, some are just kind of working part time, and all they're doing is going to push cases. Uh, what's your guess for the most diverse racially, and I mean Caucasian people, Caucasian descent people, African descent people, Latino, Latina descent people, Asian descent people? I'm talking about really close to half and half what appear to be women and men. I don't know how each person identifies, but I think we still need to be able to say this. These 25 people appeared to be half and half men and women. Tell me, where do you think that is? What state do you think that is? So I'm getting a couple of guesses. New York, no. And fuck New York. Long Island, I'll just say right now, is the worst. Long Island, the worst. The most racist shit, the most sniping, the most annoying sons of bitches who don't like to take any orders from a black man. I've seen this 10 times. I ask someone to bring something over, and the fucking eye rolls and the sneers that you get, it's only in Long Island. And open racist comments. And again, I don't say this shit lightly. I waited like 6 times experiencing this in Long Island before I said, wow. I give a long rope. And I said, you're not just dreaming, Long Island. And I posted about this a couple years ago, folks. And I loved it because everyone came out of the woodworks and said, yes, Long Island, what a nightmare. And in fact, a lot of people, I really enjoyed this. A lot of people from Long Island said, that's why I left, man. That fucking shit. So Long Island is interesting. So no, it's not New York. And New York City sucks too. You got the New York one. They're the worst. We hate working New York City. Sorry. All due respect. Do you realize that? People think that's like the glamorous. We fucking hate it. Hate it. You hate it because the parking sucks and the fees and the fines and the tickets. It's gotten to be a nightmare. If you have anything bigger than a van, you can't park or leave it anywhere near the venue anymore. We used to be able to take our trucks and buses and you put them on the West Side Highway for years, for decades, because you had these huge parking lots and you go and you pay $75 and it's there till 3 a.m. and you go get it, or midnight. Those days are gone because if any of you know about New York City, almost all of the West Side Highway now is development. It's been developed. All these fantastic parking areas for cars also. If you're a professional New York concert goer, as I am and was for decades, you go park on the West Side. I mean, you could often find street parking after 6, but you had parking lot after parking lot, almost all gone. And the few that are there are only doing cars because they have those devices that stack the cars 2 or 3 high. So New York's a fucking nightmare. When you're there, and I've been there as a production manager, a tour manager, a tech, all kinds of things. I've been there in buses, sprinters. I've been there when we're towing something. I've been there when we're in a car. You get it. Nowadays, we dump the truck, the 53 footer, usually, sometimes 48, and the fucking truck has to go over to New Jersey. So this is the morning, right? This is what happens. We come in, the truck is dumped by whatever it is, 8, 9, 10 a.m. It's empty. You make sure you got all your spares off the truck. That's the problem too. You want the truck near you on the tour because a guitar breaks or someone in the band says, "Hey, can you go get me that little practice mandolin that I haven't touched in 6 weeks and I made you bring and it's way in the nose of the truck and you were really pissed off you had to bring it and well, we're now 6 weeks into the tour and I'd like to practice with that." Fucking shit. So usually you go into the hot ass 115-degree truck, and you climb up, and you get it. New York, the truck's in the Meadowlands though, because we dumped the truck and it has to go away from New York City. So this is New York City sucks to do shows because you have all that and the poor truck driver and all that. Well, they're making a lot of money. I'm not crying for them, but it's just annoying because it's all happened because of gentrification, overdevelopment, and greed, and just greedy Manhattan developers. So then, after all that, you have to deal with the NY1. Forget it. They're the worst. Hate them. Sorry, guys. You've made me hate you. It's not my fault. Not any of our faults. And those of you in the NY1 or someone who sees this later and your dad's, I apologize if you're a nice person. But it's like the cops. We're not going to apologize for the people who are doing the job they're supposed to do, you know? But NY1, man, I tell you, I'm getting hives just thinking about some of the times what they put you through, the obnoxious stuff, a extension cable because it's on that side of the stage, or uh, any number tonight, huh? Yeah, half sold, ridiculous. So you're 47.50 an hour. So anyway, no, not New York, horrible. No, but that's a good guy. Working LA actually. All the shit I just said, wow, flipped that 180 degrees. Wonderful. Wonderful. Los Angeles, wonderful. Amazing. Women often running the show, Latinos and kind and happy to pay. It's great. I love LA. No, so that's the opposite. It's not Florida. Somewhere in the south. Um, Let me just see if anyone guessed, and I'll tell the answer now. I'm sorry you got that shite. How can a team work effectively? Because we're a team. It's one of the great things of a good crew. But you just it's a test. So yeah, it's not Atlanta. Atlanta's pretty good actually. Atlanta's pretty good, but not that diverse. It's funny because Atlanta, a lot of black people there in a country that's about 13% black. Atlanta, I don't know, might I think the slang. I've seen these numbers before. I've been upset in Georgia and Atlanta, way up. But the diversity, kind of a segregated city in some ways. The beautiful part of Atlanta is when there's big public events. You see black, Latina people. Everyone's all there. You do. Adheres to USA percent. Texas, yeah. Frank Bellina came close. No one would think bullshit. So I don't say this shit every time we go to Texas. Anomaly. This is, but then from oh man, you go to some weird places too, and you people in Texas. What you have to understand about the 13th Amendment when that happened, Texas was the one who said, "Wait a minute, the fine print says they can still be seen. This is great." So Texas, it's horrible, but I've done that, and they just had a lot of black people and came up with any kind of bullshit to make them criminals so that they were working in the fields again. So really robust African horribly. You have a lot of black people in Texas, and wonderfully so. A lot of great blues comes out of Texas, right? So it's very interesting, though. Yeah, you have black crew chiefs and women that are crew chiefs and um, Latinos, Latinas, crew chiefs on the crew, working all throughout the structure, people in the managerial level. That's what I really noticed. You roll up and wow, okay, this is wow, the manager of the venue. Wow, okay. Her name is Annalisa Hernandez. That's great. And the crew chief, black dude with long dreads, on top of it, so that they're not dogging him on his hairstyle or any. Where am I? And the first time you go, all right, this is weird. The second, third, fourth time, you go, interesting. So Texas folks, big up for Texas. Maybe it's just in the music biz. It's just something you see a lot, and I think that's awesome. Oh shit, going to urgent care. Well, good luck and speedy recovery. Um, Hope it's not serious. So, all right, let me get rid of this delicious food here. That was my lunch. If you add in some uh, cabbage and rice, which is delicious. So we're going to look at that right now. So this is a very simple meal, folks, and the soy curls are a way to have just a whopping amount of protein, uh, and just get that traditional mouthfeel, that spicy, or that kind of texture that soaks up spices, that kind of works well in a curry or a sauce or something Italian, something Mediterranean, something Japanese, something Thai or Malaysian or Singaporean. That's what's great is that every one of those cultures, Argentinian, Mexican, American, Southern, all those different cultures, German, Polish, Irish, English, Ghanaian, Nigerian. I mean, I think of all these wonderful cuisines that I've sampled. Jamaican, with jerk chicken. All of those cultures use some form of kind of shredded chicken, shredded kind of, you know, fish kind of a texture. Um, so that's nice when you can get that going in a plant-based thing. So I'm going to show real quick. Let's see. Here is the completed meal, or the full kind of Monty, as it were, of this dish served on a bed of delicious raw, of course, organic green cabbage. We get a head of cabbage these days in our Misfits box or our local um, local produce box. Um, so you have a bed of that wonderful high protein soy curls, some fresh crunchy lettuce. Cabbage, and a nice decorative puck of jasmine rice with sesame seeds and some fresh local jalapenos that we just got at the farm market, locally grown. This was a delicious meal, folks. In fact, I ate 90% of it, and I'm going to finish it later with, you know, just a little hot sauce or something. But yeah, just a quick idea, and I thought that was awesome. Great, great, quick thing. Some other food that I want to share. Because it's late summer, folks. A lot of tomatoes, right? A lot of tomatoes, squash, all these things now are overloaded because the last kind of harvest is starting to happen. Um, but so a lot of tomatoes. Having some tomato sandwiches the other day. A lot of salads with tomato. Um, where is that delicious meal that I just had? Okay, this is a little different one as well. I see if I can put this on the screen. What did you have for lunch? I always want to have that as a launching point. And thank you for hanging out. Those of you who've hung out throughout some of these rants about local crews. How did I get there? I know. Well, some of you are sticking around. Hey, it's a free for all, as that jackass Ted Nugent used to sing. Daniel Carter Gibson says, Rhodey's always comparing us to New York. Right, I know, right? Because you're right next door. You must have some great stories, Daniel, because I bet you get shows the night after they've been in New York, right? Or the night before, but they know what they're heading into, right? Do you get that kind of thing? Tell me more. I bet I know exactly what that conversation is. You're jerks, but super nice in comparison. Strangely, I've never worked the Basie, but I work with a lot of crews, as you know, that are your same union. I work at what's it called? The art center, the NJ Pack, whatever the hell it's called these days. I work there a lot, and I work with a lot of your pals. I think we've worked together there. I know I've seen you in the audience there, but you know, yeah, I'm sure you get that comparison. People are like, "God, we were in New York last night." So I'm not making this up, folks. And, whenever you hear anything from someone, it's just their opinion, and you have to go, "Well, that's just your opinion," and that's fine. My opinions are subject to the same scrutiny of anything else. On this one, though, you can line up the legions of every fucking crew person on earth that has had to work in New York and endure their pompous bullshit. God. Uh, uh, can we set up our own drums here? Yeah, yeah. We can write a book on stupid things. Um, let's see. Okay, here's. Oh shit! All right, let me show you this picture of this delicious. You don't usually see these from me, but I had the other day something almost never eat, but um, let's see. Okay, I'm just kind of sending it to myself here. Um, okay, good. Here it is. Okay, so I never eat these, folks, but the other day I had a delicious banh mi. That's right. Look at that. So, what is banh mi? Vietnamese, right? So, you got the French baguette because remember the French were in Vietnam, so you have this really weird sandwich that I'm fascinated by. I talk about it all the time how much I love Anthony Bourdain because one of the underlying threads in his show, and I'd love to do a show like that someday. I have hours of video that I've made as I'm hanging out in you name it, Budapest, Hungary, or whatever, Sao Paulo, or I don't know, different cities in South America, or Detroit and Chicago. And what I love about Anthony Bourdain, one of the many things I love is how he's teaching you about history and culture. I love, man, it's so sad, that man, and it really reminds us suicide is always just a couple clicks away. When you're depressed, and depression can be so, it's a it's a black cloud. It comes over and you can't see out of it. And I know this. I'm speaking from the experience of depression and suicidal thoughts, and shit gets real. So my heart goes out to the people again impacted in this last year and a half of we've had a horrendous amount of depression and suicides and stuff. So I never want to ever be so lighthearted that we forget that. But Anthony Bourdain, in that moment, took his own life. Tragic, tragic, and it just reminds us that even though shit might look a certain way, because first thing everyone said, but he was so rich and famous, and he had everything. Yeah, that means nothing when you know. So heart goes out to his family. I think he left a daughter, and you know Asia Argento and all his partner and all that. Despite whatever stuff might have played into his suicide, that's a whole other can of worms. But in that sadness, I celebrate and love that he left us so much beautiful art. But one of the beautiful things about Anthony Bourdain is every single show you're going to walk away knowing a little bit more about Lebanon, about Peru, about that city in South Carolina. You're going to know a little bit more about the history of America and how the enslaved people brought this or that, and that and he's on the Gullah Islands and he's doing some shit with some seafood, and they're using some spice that you know they prove has been proven enslaved people brought this nut or this spice, and now it's part of a gumbo. I mean, he's great because in 2 minutes he pulls together all this hundreds of years of history and culture, and wow, fucking genius the guy was while he's enjoying shit while getting tanked. I love that too. The dude to be like 4 drinks in and he's getting a little loose, having a good time. Man, that show is so fun. But one of the things when he went to Vietnam a number of times, he talked about the French and how they were there as colonists. And he talks about this wherever he is, Egypt, Jamaica, whatever, how colonialism, as horrific and bloody and rapacious and unforgivable that it is, it leaves some things that, end up being beautiful things. In this case, the French left a lot of their cuisine and their food and their ingredients in Asia. And so you go to a vast amount of places, whether it's Fiji or um, Vietnam and Japan and other countries. So the French, the bread there, the baguette, the French, and I think mayonnaise too appears in some of these countries. So the French left their mark. So this is, of course, a vegan version of banh mi. One of my favorite things about Asian foods too is how easy it is to make them vegan. And why is that? Look at any Asian food. 95%. Of course, you're going to find a few items that don't have much vegetables in them, but 95%, and I'm saying across the whole diaspora of Asian culture. I'm talking Indian, Pakistani, Bhutanese. I'm talking Malaysian, Singaporean. I'm talking Japanese, Chinese, Korean. I'm talking, you know, excuse me, who I've left out, but did I say Singaporean, Vietnamese, Thai, Indonesian, Tibetan foods, Afghani foods. Every single one of those I just named, I've had in a restaurant somewhere. I'm delighted to say. And what's interesting is all the meat dishes in all of those cultures usually have, at minimum, a half dozen vegetables involved. That's what's amazing and beautiful. Um, they really do because culturally, economically, for all these reasons, those cultures, you couldn't just eat lots of meat 3 times a day. You had to get good at, hey, what do coconuts and bamboo shoots and different bananas and plantains and all these types of beans and legumes and all these sea vegetables and what do we got here and these root vegetables, these different types of potatoes and these different all these leaves. We can eat almost every leafy green. Let's grow some herbs. Oh, cilantro, 10 types of parsley. Ah, let's grow 10 types of hot peppers and various tomatoes. And they do have their pork, their pig flesh, their cow flesh, of course, and cat flesh and dog flesh in some cultures, and fish and all these things. Of course they do. But please hear what I'm saying, that the vast majority of those cuisines, when you go into these wonderful restaurants, the meat is always surrounded and held up by the scallions and the cabbage and the roasted eggplant and the this and the that. And so it's really easy, and I'm speaking from 37 years of experience. It's one of my favorite foods. Really easy to make them vegetarian because it's usually one ingredient switch. You pull the pork out and you can use any number of things, whether it's tofu they've been using for 5,000 years in Asia, 7,000 years, whether it's whether it's tempeh, right, from Indonesia, whether it's more modern things like some of these things like Beyond Pork and Beyond Beef and all this stuff. Um, uh, so it's sorry, I just have an important message to reply to there. It's fascinating how easy it is. So we go to this banh mi, which was delicious, and there's some baked marinated tofu on the bottom, some bean sprouts and sliced, I forget what was in there, like a coleslaw kind of a thing, cabbage and slices of all kinds of stuff, sweet peppers and carrots and maybe some daikon. Then there's cukes, of course, a layer of cukes and some sauce, and then fresh cilantro, fresh hot peppers. Um, 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 all right, so let's enough of that sandwich. It was delicious. So Rich Gregory, that's great. Yeah, Portuguese, yes. And to my point, like we can go across the board. I wonder if someone's written a book on that. Because if not, I will. Because I need some money. I need a job, and I can write. But someone's probably written that book. That's the other thing. I'm also jaded, and I I have sublimated my ego to the point where even when I have a good idea, I don't follow up on it because I figure, well, someone else did it and did it better. That's a major flaw of mine. I have so many flaws, and I'm really trying to work on them. And uh, th- the one of the many flaws is self-doubt. And I come up with an idea, I make draft some concepts, and then I go, someone else did this better, don't do it, which is bullshit, right? I mean, there needs to be a bad version of stuff and a decent version and an okay version. There's enough of a market for everything. So I'm trying to fix that, folks, and you're helping me by giving me this forum to talk about stuff. But thank you, Rich Gregory. You see, I sold one book, and that's all I need. Because these days with self-publishing, I could get just one printed. Really, there's a website where you can get your books printed um, on order. You need 3 of them, you get 3 of them. But thank you, Rich. But what my book would talk about is colonialism in food. And to your point, so I would go down the list. I'm giving away my ideas here. I'd go down the list and look at where the English were, for instance. The Caribbean, India, many parts of Africa, a few spots in Asia. Of course, they sent all their criminals to Australia. English, not so much in South America. You know, it was bloody hot. We weren't going to be there. Too many mosquitoes, mate. Fucking hell. Send the Indians. They're part of the empire. Yes. And sell that annoying tax dodge Guyana. Sell it to the Dutch, perhaps. We're staying here in Jamaica. So the Brits, they I need some water. Coffee's cold now. So the Brits, wherever they went, it's interesting because you can see British food leaking into all these ideas, whether it's some of the pastries and cakes and some of the style of cooking, some of the roasts. You know, you go to any English colony and there's a concept of that Sunday roast and certain things. A lot of English colonies, we still eat, and I say we because I was born a British citizen, a British subject, even for the more cold-hearted word. But and I'm mad at England because they give a whole bunch of people an English passport and they cut it off, kind of somewhere before I was born. So it's kind of lame. But anyway, so the British food appears in all these countries. In Africa, it's I look for the silver lining and shit, and it's wonderful what brilliant African people, brilliant Indian people, brilliant Caribbean people, brilliant uh, indigenous people in some of these countries took the things that the English were, different types of vegetables, different types of fruits that they never knew, different types of pies and cakes, and then worked them into their style. So you have these beautiful things. One of the most popular Jamaican snacks, for instance, is the famous. It's famous for the Jamaican patty, right? And they're delicious. And I have not eaten beef in, oh my God, almost 40 years. But I ate a bunch of Jamaican patties, and they were delicious. That's. I hope my message comes across to people that I'm not saying all these flesh dishes we grew up with were not wonderful and delicious. It's just that once you start realizing what the fuck is in things, I don't know what's in it, bro. Once you understand what's in something, you can go, wow, let me make an informed choice on this. So the Jamaican patty is a really wonderful and delicious thing, and of course, very easy to get vegan and vegetarian. I mean, come on, for decades I've eaten, especially the Rastas in Jamaica or Wilmington, Delaware, where there's a lot of Rastas. Anywhere you go, they have come up with vegan versions of these, which is very easy. Which, to my point, so you have it, folks. There's the Jamaican patty. Oh, delicious. And yep, these are the beef ones. I mean, I just Googled patty somewhere in here. Here's some made of fish, I think. Is that one fish? Um, there we go. So there's one on the right. Looks exactly like all the other ones, right? But it's vegan. It's here's another one on the left that's got sweet potato. So you have these varieties. Here's the 10 best Jamaican vegetable patties. So anywhere you go, Queens, Bronx, Brooklyn, New York, you will find Jamaicans, and they love their patties. And yes, a lot of them are beef, but increasingly you find the vegetarian ones. So this is a big deal because Golden Crust is huge, popular, number one uh, Jamaican patties in New York City, and they got some vegan ones now. So this is not fringe stuff, folks. I'm always amazed when there's people that still don't get that this isn't fringe. Um, so this is showing me. I thought it. Yeah. Anyway, this is giving you the idea. There's all kinds of vegetable versions of this stuff. My point being, when you oops, it's how do I? When you see this food here that the Jamaicans call the patty, the uh, when you look at the Jamaican patty, if you look at the shape of it and you say, "Wait a minute, that looks familiar," and you might go, "Wait a minute, I've seen that," and sure enough, it is the same thing as what's called a Cornish pasty. Do you all know the Cornish pasty? And it's like one letter different. But if you remember what that looked like, let me pull up. Here's the Cornish thing, which is one of my favorite things when I go to England. Cornwall is in Wales, so this is kind of a Welsh thing. Everyone on the British Isles eats something that's a version of this. There's an Irish version, and there's you go to Scotland, they have their own. Like is always the case and things like that, right? You go to the Middle East, the Lebanese will tell you their hummus is the best. So will the Israelis. So will the Turks. Actually, the Syrians. No, we have the best hummus. And then an Egyptian guy arrives. No, try this. I love that though. It's just a friendly competition. The Palestinians. Everyone claims different things. So same thing with these kind of foods. Um, Again, what's beautiful is this is one of the things of colonial foods, where these foods arrived in Jamaica and they said, we can make that. That's, all you need is some flour and then, some sort of fat and salt and stuff, and whatever you're putting in it, which could be any number of things. So that's uh, kind of the starting point for, I think, this colonial discussion. Um, and the colonial discussion talks about how, whether it's Portugal, for instance, where was Portugal? Uh, Brazil. That's the big one, right? That's their big spot. Of course, they were in I think Angola, right, in Africa, and a couple other spots in Africa. The Portuguese were also in Goa in India, on the west coast of India, and that's a fascinating cultural thing. You go to Goa, or you meet Indian people from Goa, and a lot of them have Portuguese last names, right? You meet, like Anjali Figueroa. You go, whoa, that's a cool, you know, uh, you know, um, Priya Betancourt or something. You get these interesting Indian people, but they're full on Portuguese, and many of them with Portuguese blood through the vagaries of the rapacious nature of colonialism. But on the flip side, everything has a yin yang, folks. Everything you're gonna find, you gotta try to find shit in this fucking reality, folks. You got to, or you'll fucking blow your brains out. You gotta find some beauty, right? You gotta stop and just go look at the sky and the green. I'm looking right now. I can see leaves and sunlight. It's important to me because it reminds you that there's always some good shit in the bad shit. Oh, by the way, to Zach and anyone else listening in Asheville, or any of you that are south enough, I think tonight, yes, the next couple nights you can see it. Beautiful moon, not a full moon, but almost beautiful moon, and Jupiter and Saturn, right all in about. Let me see. My degree is 90, 45. In about a 30-degree window. Beautiful sky show of our one satellite, the moon, and our fellow planets, Jupiter and Saturn, right there to the unassisted eye. It's. I stood outside at about 3:30 in the morning, looking at that, just going, "Wow, here's the reality. Here's the reality." I'm some sort of conscious being. We've spent centuries trying to figure it out. What is the human soul? What are we actually? But I'm some consciousness of energy in a bag of meat on a small planet, actually, relatively. Third one from this star, that's about halfway through its life, 4.5 billion years. I'm watching the light of that middle aged star bouncing off a satellite we call the moon. I'm seeing this white surface. It's sunlight. Wow. I sit and think about that shit for 5 minutes. I go, that's sunlight. I'm bathed in sunlight right now. That's fucking crazy. It's just bouncing off the moon. Doesn't make any light. So I'm looking at that, and then I look to the right, and there's Jupiter. And I try to conceive that motherfucker is. I'm just riffing here, folks. How much bigger is Jupiter than the. Is Jupiter like 300 times the size of the Earth? Something like that, right? It's way, way bigger. And I'm looking, but it's this big in the sky. And then I look to the right, and there's Saturn, and you think, wow, you remember being a child and seeing Saturn with the rings and just that you can look at that in the sky. I don't know, might not be for you, but for me, it's a meditation on just do everything you can, but uh, 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 don't stress. We're just seconds on the blip of time, and believe me, I got to remember that every day. It's a struggle. Okay, how big is Jupiter? Um, yeah, I knew 300 was too much. It's 11 times wider than Earth. There we go. If Earth were the size of a nickel, Jupiter would be as big as a basketball. Okay, that's a great visual. So if Earth was this big, Earth's that big, a nickel. Here's Jupiter. Okay, wow, all right, that's fucked up already. You know, so it's 43,000 miles radius. Yeah. But there it is. So, folks, look up into the sky tonight, towards the south, depending on where you are, actually. There's someone who checks in from Australia, I think that's on. I don't know which way to look, bro. You figure that out. But yeah, really wonderful that we have. Last summer we had a beautiful chance for many nights to see four bodies. There was the moon, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars often. Venus you usually see in the morning, but pretty rare shit, folks. So, Zach, anyone else in Asheville area or south enough, take a look at the sky. You probably can see this from the East Coast very well too. People in New York and Connecticut and stuff. Um, let's see. Okay, so wow, how about that? And so I just said, okay, so that's a nickel is the Earth, a basketball is about that. Basketball is Jupiter. Jupiter is the sun is 10 times. So that's not that big, right? 10 basketballs across. All right, I'm trying to picture like I mean, I've seen blown up shit at a concert or something that big, right? We all have. Okay, that's useful. That's how big the sun is, and we're a nickel. Damn, that's still some crazy shit. I love it though. Anyway, all this to say, can't we just get along and eat some better food? All right, what did you have for lunch today? And I'm gonna go to a couple new products. Pete Brunelli says, Pete Brunelli is possibly a candidate for, a Bourdain type show. Pete's quite the gourmand. And, but it's that combination of being a world traveler and loving culture and loving street food and truck food. You know, that's very important. Um, anyway, maybe we'll do it together. That's right, because then you'll try the flesh foods that I wouldn't touch, but we can cover everything, right? Rich Gregory had a lot of Portuguese food in Macau. Yes, that's right. I started that little section. The spice in the prep. That's a big part of it. Neil Alexander, what's up, my bro? I was thinking about you the past 2 days because I've been down a Pat Metheny rabbit hole. I need to call you and catch up. One of my favorite guitarists of all time, as everyone who cares about that shit knows. Dude is astounding. But I've been listening to a lot of Pat lately, which started from this very good, I'll say, Rick Biatto interview. If you're a musician, you probably know Rick Biatto. He's this guy, and he does analysis, beautiful musical analysis. I think it's beautiful. He's got his own style. Not everyone likes him. I've got a few issues with him, but he's great. He's a fucking musical genius. And he breaks down pop songs, rock songs, classic rock songs. He'll break down whatever, Ramble On by Zeppelin or a Stevie Wonder tune or The Cars or Van Halen or whatever. And he breaks it apart and goes through everything, bass line, what's happening on the keyboards, the guitars, the vocal line. He'll look at that and be like, wow, it's very interesting. This person keeps using a flat 5 in the melody. Listen to this. He'll just show you where the notes are and what makes the song unique. Brilliant guy. So he interviewed Pat Metheny the other day, and it was really great. Really great. Just because Pat's great. Not to go off on this, although I'm so amped up about this interview that I might do a stream just about the interview. The part I didn't like about the interview is you have Pat Metheny, who's 66 years old, who's had one of the most diverse and prodigious and incredible careers that is ongoing. The man doesn't stand still. He just comes up with more and more interesting stuff every fucking year. And this dude, and I love Rick. Again, I hate to even say this because someone's going to say I'm just complaining, but he never got past 1981. Here's a guy that's got so much new music, and he kind of obsessed with Bright Size Life for like a half hour, and then it's wonderful. But the guy has a new album out. Can we talk about that just a little bit? And Pat tried to bring it up. He said, "Yeah, I got this new record," and it was a real lesson for me, though. And I'm an interviewer. You all know that. I've been interviewing people since 1985. I took a long break in the middle there, but I always wrote, and I always wrote about music. But I do a lot of interviews now, and I'm a practicing interviewer. I wouldn't say I'm the authority on it, but I know what I'm doing. I've done some, I think, interviews I can be proud of. And one of the things you do is you let the person celebrate what's going on now. They're a living human artist. They did that already, and sure, most of them are willing to talk about it. Of course, it bought them a house or 3, and of course. And Pat was amazing and gracious and fantastic, talking about Bright Size Life and what it was like recording it, and Jocko, and the first time Jocko ever recorded, and the harmonic motion of the second chord in the bridge of the third song. I mean, it went that deep, and that's fine. It's a brilliant album. It's one of the most important records in jazz fusion, and I enjoyed it all. Again, don't, but at some point, to have a 90-minute interview and you never get past like 81, it's kind of amazing to me when the guy's explosive genius, just even a few years later. Anyway, hey, you can't do everything in one interview. That's why I think you mix it up a little bit, and you get just a little drop of something that happened in the '90s would have been nice. But what it inspired me that I need to chase Pat Metheny and interview him. So anyway, Neil, good to see you, bro. And that's what launched a Metheny rant because I've been watching a ton of videos and thinking about you, thinking about Lyle, and just thinking about how amazing that shit is and how amazing you are and your own music. But when you cover Metheny, simulation theory, anyone? I don't know what that is. I mean, I know about simulating different things, and I know about as an AI issue, but what is simulation? Simulation hypothesis is a proposal regarding the nature of existence. The proposal is that all the current existing humans know, including the Earth and the rest, could be a computer simulation. Okay, great. Yes, I do know all about that. I didn't know that title, or I forgot. But Rene Descartes and Descartes, how do you pronounce that? Um, I know there's big philosophical discussion from Descartes to uh, um, the Matrix, right? The Matrix is all about that. So, yeah. Can we set up our own drums? I keep seeing that and cracking up. All right. Well, what did you eat today, Neil? If you're still here, and Daniel, what did you have? So I haven't had them yet, but I found these wonderful um, yesterday, and I'm not ashamed to say I went shopping at Walmart. And go ahead, give me shit about it. I don't care. I'm kind of broke, and so Walmart's interesting because the first reaction people have is, "Oh my God, the way they treat their workers." Well, if you read about it, they're listening on that, and they've raised. I asked someone yesterday, and I ask people all the time when I'm in a Walmart. Relax, folks. It's very rare. I mean, I think this is the first time I've been there. Well, God, in months and months. Definitely not. I've been like two other times this year, this calendar year, maybe one or two times, and it's August 23rd. So I sleep like a baby. I don't not really interested in a critique, only because where are you shopping? People that complain about Walmart sit there with a stack of Amazon boxes on their front porch. Please, we're all in the Matrix. Speaking of the Matrix, we're all in the machine. Nobody except Ted Kaczynski actually unplugged themselves and used non-electric device to write his fucking insane letters. He went that far, right? He wouldn't even use a computer. But we're all complicit. You've got a cell phone. You've got a device. We all have shit made in China. You're listening to me now on something made in China or that you ordered from Amazon and they're not paying taxes. So please, and I don't give people shit on oh man, you shopped at Lowe's. Did you hear that the guy donated to the 45 campaign? No, what are you going to do? Go to Home Depot where they have some other shit? I don't know. Anyway, I support products and ideas and as much local as I can. But when I do buy something, I buy carefully. And so one of the things interesting about Walmart is that they are listening. And they've done a lot actually for worker health care. If you look it up, actually, it's funny when Obamacare was coming down the pike, ACA, the CEO of Walmart was in support of it because he was looking at the part of it that made a deal with large employers, which they are, where the government would subsidize a part of it and the employer subsidize a part of it. Bottom line is getting more hardworking, middle class Americans and poor Americans to get some health care. So I applaud Walmart on that. I also applaud them that they have listened on the salary and stuff like that before the pandemic forced big employers like them. I asked the gentleman yesterday, and I've asked people through the years, well, what's it like working here? Like, because you hear this, you hear that. Give me some. And I've heard some good and bad, none of the bad is anything different that I haven't heard from people working at anywhere else. Um, but on the good side, the guy said yesterday, he said, "No, it's a great job." He said, "In fact, we're short right now. We can't find enough people." And so we talked about, well, is it people sitting at home on unemployment, which is what the right wing likes to put out there? And he said it's a little bit of that, but he said, it's you know, we have raised our pay, and he said the starting is, I think he said 11.50, and he said that's the most basic. You don't have to know anything. We train you to be a cashier. A cashier, he said, that's the, all due respect to cashier. It's and he said, yeah, and I said, that's not bad. And he said, yeah, and it goes up from there. If you come in with experience, or you have some managerial experience, or you're an electronics person or computer person, because we said we need people in that department. I started going, "Hmm, how much? I got to pay bills. I'm not proud. Give a fuck. I'll go work at Walmart tomorrow." So I'm actually looking into that, the computer department, the camera department. But so they have addressed this. And there's people making $15 and more at Walmart. The other thing I applaud Walmart for is, and they're the biggest retailer on earth, so they're also the biggest retailer of organic foods. Yeah, just by volume, they have a huge organic um, section, and I will. Where is it? Show you a picture here. Um, they have a huge organic section. Sorry, not huge organic section. Huge selection of organic food. When you go through and go aisle by aisle and kind of look at what they have. Um, but one of the things that struck me being there yesterday was this. I thought, wow, look at that. This is good news, because, and I don't have the picture up right now of the other side of this, but the other side the of this display area is it was just as decimated. It was remarkable. Um, and so this is good news, because it tells us, hey, someone's buying this stuff, and the rest of the produce section, folks, the conventional, the non-organic, was packed. It's not like they got wiped out, or the flood stopped their whatever. It's what it looks like. People are buying the fuck out of whatever was in those bins. And the other side, there was some other things. I bought some of those limes. I bought a bag of the organic Bartlett pears. Um, my attitude is, this sends a message to a big corporation like Walmart that, yes, you support organic farmers more, support organic produce, get these products in, get the awareness of safely and sustainably grown food out to your customers. And it does have an effect, because in this kind of a setting, somebody who's never heard of organic is going to see it. They're going to see it over and over and over again. And it's just a tipping point thing. And then some weird niece is going to be there for the holidays, and she brought a bunch of organic food, and you're going to go, oh, wow. I see that word all the time at the Walmart. What does that mean? And the niece will say, well, it's that. It just means grown with, yes, with fertilization and killing bugs and stuff, but using methods that are sustainable, using diatomaceous earth instead of uh, some weird synthetic chemical that doesn't break down for many years, or has a 5-year half-life, or any number of reasons. It's important to say that organic agriculture is not chemical free. It's using chemicals. I have one wise ass friend who, he's always criticizing organic. He's a biologist as well, a scientist of some sort, and he's always snarkily pointing out that, well, water is a chemical. It's hydrogen. It's oxygen. Blah, 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 blah. Like, that's fucking clever. Um, so you use chemicals to grow organic produce. You're just using things. You're using the chemicals that are in fish meal, for instance, for one of the rare animal products that are used in some organic crops. Or seaweed is one of the things that there's a process from seaweed that just uses that high mineral stuff, like kelp and stuff like that, kelp powder. Or you might be using copper rotenone, which sounds crazy, but it's not. And you might be using diatomaceous earth, as I said before, which is the million-year-old bodies of diatoms, which are these little organisms, but they die in the ocean, and we go and scoop up the basically, you know, their their shells, their skeletons, and we make a powder out of this stuff. It's like a silica type substance, but you spread this around. It's very whisper thin, whisper fine powder, diatomaceous earth. If you don't know about it, it's very good for gardeners. And you spread that around, and it kills insects. In as much as we do kill things along the way. So organic. Once you learn about it, once you tell people about it, they realize, oh, it's a return to more ancient methods, actually, using manure, using composted manure, composting vegetable waste. These are things that were used for centuries that we kind of got away from 100 years ago when the Industrial Revolution came about, and we went down a bad road. Anyway, my point there, picture number one from Walmart. Just I'm kind of celebrating. Wow, that's great. They're selling the fuck out of some organic stuff. So next picture I'm going to show, yum yum. I'm going to have one of these today for second lunch, for early dinner. Let's see. And tell me what you had to eat today, folks. So the other thing I found at Starbucks, I bought some Starbucks coffee. Actually, that's what got me. I think Starbucks. Let's see. Where's the picture? Thank you so much for stopping by, folks. I see some people. I see Rich Gregory is on YouTube, and one or two other people whose names I don't know. I really appreciate you on a Monday just stopping by. And I am the alternative to the news. I haven't yet talked about the FDA and vaccines and stuff. Maybe I'll close on that. But I'm here to be a little bit of an oasis and a little bit of an encouragement team of one to just say, hey, just shake it up a little bit. You don't have to eat meat 7 days a week. And then we add a little modular synthesis to the mix. So let's go ahead and let's see. And let me give a little pause. I'm sorry, I'm answering kind of a couple important messages here because they have to do with something that's been a very sad news the past 2 days. All of you know not all of you, but a bunch of you know my one of my threads in my career is I have a Frank Zappa tribute band, Project Object, and I give thanks. And I'm fortunate that through that I've been able to play music around the world with well, in North America and Europe, not around the world, and England, and as far as Eastern Europe and whatnot. But that's quite enough to retire in happiness. And so one of the things that I've been able to work with all these musicians from Zappa, so I've gotten to know a lot of them. One of my most dear friends, they all are. There's no ranking there, but I ranked this gentleman because he was with Zappa the longest, and he from 1976 to 1988, and he was on almost everything in between there. His name's Ed Mann, and Ed's okay. Well, I mean, he's alive and with us, but very sadly, he just lost his daughter, Anais Mann, and beautiful, kind, brilliant young woman. She had her own businesses going and different things. She supported herself. and it's very sad because Ed, she was the light of his life. I mean, I I've never seen Ed happier than the many photographs that we have on his Facebook or different places when he's with his wonderful daughter. Who it's I can't even still. It's very real. I denied it for several hours yesterday, but she has passed away tragically, and I don't know how old she is. I think she's 30. Maybe a bit above 30. So very tragic, very sad. So send some love to Ed Mann, the longtime percussionist of Frank Zappa, because that's you should never ever bury your children. It's just that's some wrong shit, and I have a bunch of that in my life, and so that's a pain I know well and I carry with me. I don't know it specifically. I don't have children, and um, you know, when my children died, it was a voluntary choice, but I don't I can't fathom what that might be. So my heart goes out to him and any parent that had to deal with that. So just a moment of give a moment there because I'm getting these texts, I'm getting emails. People ask me because they know I know these guys, and that's all I know. I don't know anything else about causes or very very tragic. Um, Rich Gregory, great to see you again, my friend. It's been a long time, Rich. I hope you're doing well. I know you were working on some health stuff. I know you were doing some great work um, getting into Indian food was your bridge, your pathway to more and more vegetable based foods. So let me know how you're doing with that. Hope your health is good and you're doing a lot more. Rich, you were the topic the other day. I do live book writing on my Patreon, and I'm gonna put my Patreon link. You should stop by. I do live book writing, and I literally live right here. I write my book, like right on camera. You see the maybe I'll pull it up. You see the page, and you see me talking and talk text, and the words are there, and I'm editing. So you get to see me write my book. As boring as that may sound, some people have been enjoying it. I go figure. I have some good stories. I've toured with some badass motherfuckers. So I have some real fun stories. But I was talking about my Zappa journey the other day, which we're going to hear a lot about ad nauseum coming up because it's going to be my 40th anniversary of deep diving into Zappa. But I was writing the other day a chapter on Zappa. Rich Gregory, I'm talking to here, and we got to the 84 or something, and we were talking about the Halloween, and I we were talking about someone who was there, one of the patrons and an old friend said, man, Rich, I hope you're still there to hear this. My friend Nick, who said, man, I remember that show, Halloween 1984. There was this guy there dressed like a shower. He had I just went, and I let him finish. He said he had a shower curtain around him and a shower head, and he was in a robe. I'll never forget. And I said, dude, you know who that is? He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, that's Rich Gregory. Do you know that name? And he goes, I don't know that name. I pulled up a picture of you now, Rich, like all of us with gray hair. And he's like, I know that guy. Of course. He's always in New York at BB King. Yes, exactly. I said, that's the guy. Nick was like, that's the guy? Meanwhile, I'm pulling up your old picture that I saw on Facebook from 1984. And then I had them side by side. He's freaking out. He can't believe it. And you know Nick, too, of course. He's a dear old friend. You've hung out with him and helped us load out many times with Nick. If you see his picture, Nick LaQualia, you know who he is, another vegetarian. And so anyway, just to let you know, you were being talked about for about 20 minutes there. And we pulled up pictures. We were talking about those two shows because Frank played two shows that night, Halloween '84. I remember the horses came in because there was some issue with the the crowd up front, and the police came in on horses. I remember that. So thank you, Rich Gregory, for being a big part of the story. Okay, okay, you've lost 75 pounds. That is great. Oh, you broke some ribs. What happened, bro? Dude, what? Don't tell me you're getting into fights again. No, I shouldn't joke around. Hopefully you weren't in an accident or something. But please tell me what happened. And I'm glad that you were in the hospital and you have health care. But I'm also really glad that you lost 75 pounds. That is awesome. And eating delicious Indian food being part of it. I'm sure you're doing other stuff. That's great. Um, okay, so another yummy food I wanted to share with y'all. Again, talking about uh, thingamajig, uh, Walmart. I know it feels funny to me to be fucking discussing Walmart in a positive light. I know it just doesn't feel right, but they have pros and cons. Anyway, this is a great company. It's a Canadian company, I believe. I think they got bought, so they're owned maybe by someone else now. I'll look that up. I don't really care because I'm about the end result. And if the end result is it's a company um, directing their profit back to um, plant-based foods and kind of local farms and local which they do. Let me just get a. Oh, okay, it is on the screen now. So you have DAIYA. So this is this company who's I think Canadian company, but they make a cheese is where they start out. That's where most of us first heard of them. They make this vegan cheese that's really good, actually. I mean, there's a full-on regular pizzeria here in town called Pizza Mind, and they are banging. They do a really good New York style pizza where they get the crust correct. They got the cornmeal dusted on the bottom of the crust, and it's really good pizza. And we get the pizza with DAIYA cheese, and I'll tell you, that really works on a pizza. DAIYA is plant based. It's soy free. It's all natural ingredients, and it melts, and it has the fat profile. It's very close to a mozzarella or something on the pizza. I'm not kidding. I mean, I've tested this on people who are not vegans, do not care at all to avoid milk based things, and people love it. So I'm excited to try this. But there's this 4 or 5 new completely vegan and happen to be gluten free um, if you eat that way sometimes. And Mexican food's very easy to be gluten free because a lot of things are cassava and corn and other things. They do have wheat, yes, they have wheat tortillas, but just as well, there are corn tortillas and tortillas made from other grains. Actually, the more you learn about ancient Mexican cooking, one of the more incredible and advanced and ancient cuisines. You're talking about Aztecs and Mayans and a lot of Central American um, indigenous foods that become what we know as Mexico. So check this one out. It's again, uh, I think really good nutrition on that. Moderate sodium, a quarter of the day in that one burrito. That's cool. That's easy. If that's one of your meals, pretty easy to keep your sodium good. Sodium also, I think we got it wrong in America on sodium. It's not so much that sodium number being so high, it's your potassium number being so low. Do you get me? Go look that up too. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I've taken a lot of science courses and I have a computer science degree enough to know that some of this stuff is simpler than people make it look. But you need all the minerals happening, folks. You need to be eating more potassium, more molybdenum, more iron, more, you need it all. You need copper is part of the human diet in some tiny, tiny dose. You need all your calcium. You need all these elements in varying amounts. One of the things we do in America is eat way too much sodium, way too little potassium. And those two elements particularly are very important in fluid um, transport in and out of the cells. And we are nothing but cells, right? So if you're not moving water in and out of your cells properly, holy shit, I don't have to finish, right? You know, all your systems are going to be not working optimally. So we eat way too much sodium. I don't have to tell you how many problems that leads to, right? High blood pressure, right? HBP, one of the most universal problems in America. High blood pressure, highly related to overabundance of sodium. All kinds of dehydration issues and joint issues and things can be traced to some sodium issues. Some stuff with your heart. Sodium is very important because, again, the sodium potassium intracellular and intercellular fluid stuff, it's got to be on point in your heart. So sodium is important, but I urge you to read more about this. More important is you're not having enough potassium. So, you know, we need to look at both of those at the same time. Anyway, decent sodium. Carbs are a little high for one item, but where the carbs are coming from, you know, um, a tortilla made of grains, and there's probably some corn in there and all kinds of stuff. I don't care. It's fine. Because again, they're not carbs from processed sugar, and I know there's a whole discussion we can have. With carbs are carbs. Well, they are and they aren't. You know, a cup of white sugar with X amount of carbs, you've got to be fair about whether you're getting the carbs from some brown rice and corn or something where there's also fiber as part of the picture, and soluble fiber, insoluble fiber. You got all kinds of things, and how the velocity of those carbs, of those sugars breaking down. So all kinds of things, moving parts there. But the two important other aspects, I think, there's a couple. There's a fair amount of calcium. Look at that, 15% of the day's calcium, 6% of the day's potassium. So again, always look at your potassium and sodium together, and really try to make sure you're having potassium. Everyone knows bananas, but also dark leafy greens, right? There's a lot of places you can get potassium. I believe things like figs and dates, and certain dried fruits. Things that are not on the top of the list of American diet. I think Americans probably don't even eat enough bananas, as fucking easy as that is to do. The other important number on here is the protein. 8 grams of protein. That's fantastic. Again, looking at your whole day, and looking at what your protein needs might be. And protein depends on your body weight. Everyone knows that. And you can look up, you know, how many grams of protein is recommended for a kilogram of body weight. But 8's great for one little meal or a snack, whatever this might be for you. This might be part of a meal. For me, this plus a salad is a pretty good lunch. One of the more important things, too, is the cholesterol, folks. Another epidemic problem in America is high cholesterol. Now, you don't only get high cholesterol from eating cholesterol. I urge everyone to read about cholesterol. Again, what I'm pushing back on a lot lately is the idea that all this stuff, it's too confusing. I don't know. No one knows. We love to say that, which is an excuse to run away from basic knowledge. You do know. You're smart enough to pull up a couple articles about cholesterol. Start with Wikipedia. Start with somewhere and say, well, what is cholesterol? It's a very important lipid, a very important fat. We have to have cholesterol for optimum human health. It's very important. I love cholesterol, but I'm going to make all the cholesterol I ever need. I'll make it myself, thank you. I'll make it in my liver. I'll make it I'll make it from various foods, various elements that I'm eating properly. I need cholesterol because I want my nerve endings to be properly protected. The the fat around your brain, right? The fat around your all through your body. There's fat doing protective work around your nerves, your nervous system, your brain, your eyes. You have to have cholesterol, folks. But again, no one just spends 10 minutes reading about this. Your cholesterol is going to be made in your liver. You have other cells in other parts of your body that manufacture cholesterol, but trust that you can make all that you'll ever need. You don't need to eat it. And people get confused because then they'll read an article, cholesterol is important for the protective capacity around the human brain. And that's right where the problem starts, because then someone says, oh my God, my stupid vegan cousin is wrong. Cholesterol is actually good. I'm going to own them and send them a picture of a steak. This is what happens. And it's like, no, no, no. You're both right. Cholesterol is important and vital and crucial. But your cousin's also right. You don't need to eat any of it. You will make all that you need by eating proper sources of good fats, minerals, vitamins, fiber, protein, sugars, carbohydrates, by getting a good source of all those things, which are simple to get in plants. It's simple to get all of your fat soluble vitamins like D, A, E, K. It's simple to get all your minerals from your dark leafy greens and your herbs and your root vegetables and your legumes. It's easy, actually. But please take a little effort and learn why we need these things on the nutrition label. Finally, here's their thing. Now, I will say, one of my guiding things is, too many ingredients. And I do feel that a little bit about this. I'm not happy about every ingredient in here, and there's a bit much, but it's a burrito. So there's like 12 vegetables in it, and that's half the ingredients. I could do without the canola oil. But it's, folks, how much is in there? It's fucking in the tortilla mix to keep it stuck together. Give me a break. And I know someone's going to say, well, there's only a little butter in this thing. Yeah, but you're having that every single day. I'm not going to eat this every single day. I probably will have 3 of them in my life, But I'm going to try it, and I'll report back to you how good it is. I think it will be good because I've had a lot of things from DAIYA. And as we go through here, most of these are great and benign ingredients. I mean, milled flaxseed, come on, pinto beans, brown rice. The ones that I could say, find something else is the canola oil. I'm fine with safflower oil. Um, the leavening, yeah, that's what you need for any kind of pastry or wrap type of product. You need your baking powder, baking soda roll, leavening. So sodium bicarbonate, monocalcium phosphate. That's the other thing too in a lot of this discussion. Don't be scared of chemical words, words, elemental words. Look them up. Look them up. Look up sodium bicarbonate. Look things up and understand. Okay, wow. As scary as that sounds, it's a basic salt. It's a basic, you know, leavening agent inside my the bread part of my meal here. Look these things up. And some things that sound really simple are actually not that great for you. So it goes both ways. But I encourage you, just come on, man. We got all these tools. I get impatient when people just don't look stuff up. But yeah, just baking soda has been used for centuries. It's fine. That's sodium bicarbonate. Anyway, it goes down the line there. Again, expeller pressed canola oil. Uh, Mixed bag on that. I don't even know how much is in there, but yeah, mostly it's just normal stuff. Turmeric color, annatto color. Um, anyway, looks like a delicious burrito. I will have one later and tell you what it's like. And I found like 3 different flavors. This is the Tex-Mex. I got this one. I got the breakfast one. I got one of their black bean one or something. I don't know. It just grabbed a few things yesterday, and I thought, oh, that's exciting. Um, I also got one called the Santa Fe. Also from, and these are 248, by the way. Someone was asking me on another message, but that's the other thing. The cost at Walmart is tough when you're on a budget. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't I go here? So here's the Santa Fe. Oh, look at that. They table that nicely. Look at that sucker. I could eat Mexican food every day. And someone's going to say, because they always do, I make those from scratch. I have one friend where no matter what, they point out that they can make it from scratch. I know you can. We all can. But human life in the 21st century often means you're in a fucking hurry, or you're tired, or someone's coming over in 50 minutes and you want to have some beers and a nosh on the in the backyard, and you throw a couple burritos in the toaster oven. So, God, people are so strange. Anyway, this one, little less carbs, right? 10% less carbs, more than that, more than 10% less carbs. So they vary. These different flavors, more protein, 10 grams. Like all plant-based foods, zero cholesterol, folks. And by the way, there's no cholesterol in avocados. There's no cholesterol in coconut. People just keep being confused about that. So this one has the Beyond Meat beef stuff in it, beef crumbles, and that's soy free. Actually, by the way, I gotta applaud Beyond Meat that they could have started with just a soy thing, as has been done for decades, and they went with pea protein, green peas, which is a wonderful, sustainable protein, easy to grow, fast growing, and it doesn't destroy the land it's on. And you can rotate your crops beautifully. If you, again, do some reading about that, we're in an explosion of actually some demand rising in a lot of these things. Now, let's start doing it outside California because, for instance, almonds are highly in demand, but almond farming has gone off the rails in California. It's pretty water intense, and I forget the factor, but the almond farms in California have exploded by a massive factor. I'm not happy about that because it's hurting the water table. Sure, let's grow more almonds if people are using almonds for protein and for almond beverages and stuff, which we've done for um, 700 years at least. Almonds have been used for milks and stuff. But maybe some almond farming happens in other states that need the industry. But um, but I was just reading about this a little while back. You know, I read about this shit every day almost. How chickpea farming, pea farming, how different types of legumes and things are exploding because people are eating them more, number one. And number two, these big companies like Beyond Meat that use peas as a raw material are demanding them, which is great, folks, because it supports farmers. It's much more sustainable, much more environmentally um, kind of survivable. You know, if we look at the shit we're facing. Um, anyway, that's a couple things. I just wanted to touch base with you that DAIYA or DAIYA, however you say it, and I'll finish with I'm going to put their link into the chat because DAIYA is really a cool company. And Dean Matson's here. What's up, my friend? And you know, Dean knows that Dean, I messaged you about these burritos yesterday. I was so excited because yeah, they're great price, great ingredients, and just you said it exactly. You get home late from work, you're tired. Sure, you know how to cook something from scratch, but I'm tired. Want to kick my feet up, throw something in the toaster oven, and by the time you grab a shower or freshen up or just flip through your mail or something, you got a sandwich ready to go. You got a burrito ready to go. So I agree. These things are wonderful, and it's extra wonderful as we always talk about that massive corporations are leaning in on this stuff and saying, okay, and yes, someone's going to say, well, they're doing it for the money, Andre. Well, yes, we live in a capitalist society. It's I'm fine with that. I do things for the money. People are so weird. um, it's when you're doing it for money and abusing people and killing people and going to war. That's when I get upset. But I'm a capitalist. I'm a compassionate capitalist. I think I want I want to buy that tomato from a farmer for $1, make some sauce out of it, sell it to you for $1.75. You go make a pizza, sell it to someone else for $4. See? Everyone's happy. Capitalism. Good stuff when it's done with fairness and compassion, which we're a long way off from. Don't, you know, I'm under no illusion. But when we can get these huge companies to say, "Hey, let's go plant-based. It's better for the farmers, better for the earth." We're seeing people like Rich Gregory. Here it is, folks. That makes my week because almost every week somebody points out to me, Andre, I thank you because I watched that video and Forks Over Knives, or I went and tried to learn some Thai food, vegetarian, and it's 2 months later. I feel great. I don't have those stomach pains because I got off of dairy. I lost 75 pounds because I went more plant based. I started eating more good, fresh, spicy Indian food with all these healing things in them. Indian food is medicine, actually. The turmeric, the uh, uh, um, asafoetida is often in there. The cumin, the garlic, the ginger, the onions. We now know. Well, we've known for a long time, but we're now clear on it. The science is there that everything I just mentioned is healing. Turmeric, it's a medicine. It's an anti-inflammatory. Indian people, Ayurvedic medicine, and Indian food, they've just had it in there for centuries. Go figure. Ginger. We know so much now about ginger and blood pressure and digestion, and it's so good for you. It's in those foods. The allium family, all the onion stuff, all the garlics, all these different things. We now know. When I say we now know, we've known for 100 years. It just became more and more clear as our science got better. The compounds that are in garlic, that are in onions, that are in um, all these things, parsley. We treat parsley like a garnish. Go look up parsley. It's a powerhouse. Actually, quite high in protein, quite high in all these minerals, all these things. So I love that these companies now, whether they're doing it because of the evils of wanting to make a profit, um, I say sarcastically, whatever the reason, I'm happy because here we are. Look at that. 6 delicious looking, and I'm going to go on a limb and say they are delicious. I've had half a dozen products from DAIYA, and they're all excellent. So I'm really looking forward. And yes, I'm biased, I'm assuming, but I have every confidence that I'm about to eat some delicious burritos from our people at DAIYA. Also, on those of us on a budget, which is me, and I know my man Dean's on a budget. Look at this. DAIYA on their website is recommending these at $4.29 a piece. I just paid $2.48 a piece at Walmart. So haters can hate, but Walmart does some shit right, and you can find something bad about the owners of Target or Kroger or Pathmark or A&P or King Supers or anyway, you can find something you don't like. Yes, there's degrees. I like Trader Joe a lot. I like Harris Teeter. I go there. I try to look up what these companies do. I really like Trader Joe. They're very good to their workers and they have a great aesthetic. I like that. But I also don't pull my hair out because you can't know everything about the owners, right? I go to Home Depot, some friend says go to Lowe's. I go to Lowe's, some other friend says don't. What works for me is just buy less in general, right? Just be careful. Buy less things. I don't buy much at all other than food and expendables and some music equipment because that's part of my job, part of my career. Those are tools I need, but they're not wasteful because they will, um, you know, uh, they'll be used for the rest of my life and then someone else's life. so tools and equipment and things like that. But there's ways around worrying about some of these stores that gives you a little less stress. So that's kind of I'm going to wrap, folks. That's kind of today's show. Wanted to talk about these great new products that are happening. I always do every week, but I wanted to talk about burritos. Yes, Rich Gregory in the frozen section. Sorry, I didn't answer that, but yes, in the blankety blank. Um, I'm forgetting the name. In the I want to keep saying Whole Foods in the Walmart um, uh, section, um, frozen section. Um, let's see. So I put there now, good folks. Oops, I don't want that. I'm putting my Venmo, which is just my name with a dash, by the way. Hey, if you want to buy me a coffee, thank you so much. Um, that would be cool. Um, it's just Andre Chumley with a dash in the middle. So very simple. And then my Patreon is there. And do stop by. I will be doing some, as always, some open house where I invite people to just check out what I'm doing on Patreon. There's some new things I want to start adding. I've been down for a few days. It's funny. I was taking a mental health week last week anyway, and I was gonna skip just my interview on Wednesday, and the skies opened up. We had all these floods. It went crazy around here. We're very lucky. We got a couple inches of water in the basement. I mean, I say lucky, but 20 minutes away, people were washed away. People died. People are now homeless. So shit got real in eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. We bumped right up against each other. Um, and so I'm giving thanks that shit wasn't worse, but it fucked me up real good because I had to. I'm still doing some cleanup in the other room of my basement, and a lot of stuff got wet. Cardboard on the floor. I just have a floor that concrete floor that I had put some cardboard on, and that got wet. So I'm ripping it up and I'm cleaning up. But it's been an occasion of giving me the inspiration to throw some shit away, give some shit away. I filled the back of my car up the other day and I gave away. Why do I have 8 keyboard X stands? I mean, you come up with this shit when you tour a lot. I only need 2. So I got rid of a bunch. I got rid of some speakers I had. I got rid of some guitar stands that each needed a little repair on them. And I'm about to go through a lot of other stuff, some musical equipment that needs some repairs. I'm about to sell some guitars. Anyone looking to buy some guitars? I I'm in the death cleaning. The death cleaning is the I can't remember if it's Finnish or Norwegian, but one of those Swedish. The Swedish have a thing called the death cleaning. You ever hear of that? It's fucking crazy. Um, they just admit that we're going to die and we have a lot of shit here and we don't want our kids or relatives to have to clean this up. It's very cool. And it's also like lightening your load if you're in that last quarter or third of your life. I hope I live another bunch of years, folks. But I also walk around knowing that you don't know. But whatever it is that I have left, the um it feels good every time I lighten the load. Every time I get rid of a whole bunch of shit, whether I give it to a younger person who's another musician and they go, "Oh my god, that drum machine you gave me with the missing knob. I'm writing my album. Wow, that's I've I've been bathed in joy giving shit away. I've had many people give me shit. I have a very dear friend, a musician I've worked with for many years, who's given me so many things for over the last 25 years. Very kind, amazing human being. He's given me the mixing desk I'm speaking through right now. He's given me old rack mount equipment. He's given me stuff. So I give it away. I give stuff away. as well. Um, and so the death cleaning is a part of that. So check it out. Maybe you need to clean some shit out of your life because it really feels good to go to Goodwill with a car full of stuff and say, "What am I doing with this?" Someone else have it. Um, so this flood has given me a little encouragement to do that more. So I put a link or two. If you've never heard of the death cleaning, it's something from the Swedes, and it's a very interesting idea. It's our first reaction in our culture is, "Whoa, talking about death, man." I know it's rough. Um, um, let's see here. All right. Well, if there's no closing questions or comments, thank you for your time. As always, I'm gotta do some pretty nasty cleanup. Wet cardboard is not a good look. I've been drying it with space heaters and throwing it out. I took a full garbage can of just crap and cardboard and foam and all this shit. Boring. I'm sorry, but I just for those of you who have asked, a few people asked because they see the flooding on the TV. Crossing our fingers, we're lucky. We're but 15 minutes away. There was carnage. There was, um, you know. All right, folks. I wanted to close on how do I not comment on this? And thank you, Meg Donahue Kelly, my dear friend, and Dean Matson, my dear friend. Jersey love to both of you. Jersey people are pretty awesome. There's two plant-based Jersey people right there, Meg and Dean. Um, Damp Rid and dehumidifier. Yes, I've got Damp Rid. I've used that. That's child's play, though. I mean, that shit. I'll show you. I'll do a little plug here. Look what I got. My dear other half just ordered me this, which is pretty extravagant. The Quick Dam flood control. Now, what's Quick Dam? Quick Dam is this company that makes this amazing stuff. Let me see. They fucked this package up. Anyway, Quick Dam. If you ever hear them, it's a flood barrier. They call it. Yeah, it says there, Quick Dam flood barriers, and it's well, I'm gonna put a few of these out so I can just show you. They're really this wonderful product. If you have any water problems anywhere, folks, quickdams.com. And here's what they are. They look like, this one's 5 foot long. And they're just a thin little. But you lay these out anywhere where there might be water. So I just put a few along the walls on the on the floor of my basement. And if we have the occasion of some really bad rain, which is once or twice a year, hopefully that doesn't get worse. You come downstairs, and I'm checking throughout the day, and then finally, here comes the water, and you see it just until I do something like sealant or something that I can't afford. But these things swell up, and they become like a pillow of. They soak up all the water, and then you just take this out, and you can cut it open. The stuff inside is actually I forget what it is, but it's like a plant-based silica, plant-based kind of a I forget what they describe it, but it's like probably corn or some kind of grain or some kind of processed thing that soaks up water, and it will biodegrade, and then you could throw this part away. This is just fabric, but you can reuse them a couple times, and I can't recommend them enough. And I'm amazed how they're actually not in every store. I get them at Home Depot. We just found them on Amazon actually, and you can get them. But if you have any water, yeah, it's some sort of cellulose, exactly, Frank. But I do the other stuff, dehumidifier, keep the AC on, the damp rid. I have those little plastic jars of those that I put around. Um, it's one of the trade-offs of living in a temperate rainforest, which we do, is that you know there's a lot of rain. We have the designation of a rainforest because there's a lot of fucking rain. So it's you know it's it's been a challenge. Here's if you haven't seen it, here's a little bit of what happened recently here. This is minutes away from us, folks, but we're okay. We're a little higher than this, but holy shit, right? Look at that vehicle on the other side. People, stop driving though. Stop trying to beat the water. Not to victim blame, but you scratch your head sometimes when people think, well, if I just speed up, I'm going to make it through this thing. Now, obviously, this person got into trouble long before the water got this high, but this is in Pisgah Forest, folks. This is minutes from where I'm sitting right now. Fuck. I mean, what's fascinating about water? It happens in minutes. Minutes. The math is so huge that a 10-minute difference blows your mind. So yeah, that gives you a little taster. Here's a street. Now, yeah, there's someone that needs to just turn back. Don't think about it, bro. I know you got a truck and you're thinking, I'm badass. Well, you might not be. This guy is explaining what's happening there, but you get the picture. We had this is another quick one. This is right here in Asheville, folks. This is not far from where we live. This is over by the river. And again, this we were lucky because look, you're able to turn back, go the other way, please. This guy's thinking about making a bad decision. Come on, bro. I mean, I think he makes it obviously because we have the video, but you know, half the people that try this get into trouble. What did I just read? 2 feet of water can knock a human down. If you're walking through it, a few inches, and only a couple feet of water can slosh your car away. So, and these are 4-wheel drives and higher up cars, but just a little taster to leave you with. This is right where I live. And this is the good part. This is like still functional, you know. Sobering. And it has affected my kind of streaming world. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, folks, have a good rest of the day. I know, Mag, this is some crazy shit, right? Oh, man. All right. Talk to y'all next week. And I didn't touch it, but maybe I'll do another stream just about the FDA approval. How about that, huh? Because I can't wait to hear from some of my friends who said, well, it's not FDA approved, Andre. It's just not FDA approved. And that's my standard. These are people with tattoos all over their bodies. Tattoo ink is not approved by the FDA either. All kinds of things are not approved. Listerine, I was just reading about. They technically just say, well, it's a cosmetic slash, you know, whatever else they call it. But I mean, if you want to play that game, there's all kinds of things we ingest that are not approved, or certainly that are experimental, like some of these artificial sugars and sweeteners. That's my favorite. Someone standing there with a Diet Coke telling me, well, this is an experiment on humans. You're like, yeah, okay. And NutraSweet's not. Okay. Yeah, you're okay. Um, but anyway, we've hit that day now where that excuse is off the table. Can't wait to hear from. I got one person I'm going to call, and she said it's not FDA approved. That's been her thing for 8 months. I can't wait to find out now. So, did you? Are you going Wednesday? Like, what you know? But anyway, I'll leave you with that, and I'll leave you with happy goalpost moving day because people are going to move the goalpost now, and ask your friends, with kindness, with understanding. If people have questions, questions are valid. But if they've used this as the reason, gently approach them and say, well, what's your take on this now? All right. See you next week. Bye.